Good morning, welcome to Nice for the 7th edition of La Course by Le Tour de France. 96 kilometers today, 2 laps of a 47.5 kilometer circuit that will take in 2 ascents of the Col de Rimier, 5.8 kilometer climb. Big question, is this climb tough enough or is it too far away from the finish to be really decisive in today's race? So let's have a look at the course. That's the Col de Rimier. You can see it goes up to 310 meters. It's 5.8 kilometers, average gradient of 5.1%. Then we descend. We've got about 30 kilometers of flat after the descent before we run back down into Nice, where we finish on the famous Promenade des Anglais. We will then head back out around the same circuit, the second ascent of the Col de Rimier there. We have the Queen of the Mountains, a point at the top of each ascent, and then that run in towards the finish. Thanks for joining me, Martin McDonald, in the commentary box today. I'll have Joanna Rouser with me to take you through today's action. That's your course profile. As you can see, is that just a little bit far away from the finish to be really decisive? Last year's race, it was Marianne Vos that took La Course in Pau last year, ahead of Leah Kirchmann and Cecily Uttrup Ludwig after that gutsy attack by Amanda Spratt. And Marianne Vos just caught her on that steep little climb up towards the finish, and it just kicked right. Marianne Vos taking the first edition of La Course back in 2014. She's won it now on 2 occasions, as has Annemiek van Vleuten. Anna van der Breggen taking it in Paris in 2015. Chloe Hosking, also a previous winner of this race. Van Vleuten in 2017 and 2018. So who will run out the winner today? It's been a busy week of racing. Lots of riders competing in the Women's World Tour up at the GP Plouay and then the European Road Championships before heading down here to Nice. Let's run you through our teams that we've got on the start line today, and it really is a great field that has been assembled yet again for La Course. Marianne Vos will lead that CCC Live team. The riders down here at the start: Mitchelton Scott, led by world champion and newly crowned European champion Annemiek van Vleuten. Trek Segafredo are here, the winner of the last round of the Women's World Tour, Lizzie Deignan. We'll see how she is after that crash in the European Championships. There's Annemiek van Vleuten in that rainbow jersey. She's backed up, strong team that she's got with her this year. Ceratizit at WNT Pro Cycling, great climbers in that team. Erica Magnaldi, watch out for her. Ines Antesteban is also on some good form. There's Marianne Vos, of course, wearing the number 1. And alongside her, Chantal van den Broek Black. Quite a few people talking up Chantal van den Broek Black after that great performance in the European Championships. Team Sunweb. And we have Leanne Lippert there in the purple jersey as the leader of the World Tour. Again, as always, Sunweb, very versatile team. We saw them really on fire in La Course last year. So they're getting down to the ready for the off here in La Course. So everyone just soaking up the atmosphere. Katrin Hammers in behind. The riders are on the start line. You can see getting ready for the off here on the 7th edition of La Course. 96 kilometers awaits them, starting and finishing here on the Promenade des Anglais in Nice. 96 kilometer distance. It's going to be really hard from the start. Will they rip it up the first ascent of the Col de Rimier? And we are away. Lizzie Banks here from Equipe Paul Akai in that white jersey with the blue shorts and the green band stands round the bottom. She's got to be up there now as a potential favourite for this one. She did take a tumble in the European Championships. We will see if that's dented that form. But the British rider who was away with Lizzie Deignan in the GP Plouay, she took a stage victory in that Giro Rosa last year, but that performance in Plouay really cemented her place, her arrival now at the top flight of pro cycling. So we'll see what she can do today. Mitchelton Scott, so Annemiek van Vleuten backed up by Jess Allen, Grace Brown, Gracie Elvin, Jess Roberts, so the British rider. Sarah Roy is there, so a really strong team that they've got today. Watch out for as well from FDJ, Nouvelle Aquitaine Futuroscope, led by Cecily Uttrup Ludwig, that familiar white, blue and red FDJ jersey. The Sarah Tizet WNT team, they have got Erica Magnaudi, Laura Asensio, Maria Giulia Confalonieri, Anna Santesteban and Lara Vicella. For Allez BTC Ljubljana, Marta Bastianelli, could be a good day for Marta Bastianelli. Watch out for her if she can get herself over the climb. So it's going to be really interesting to see just how this pans out as we hit the Col de Rimier for the first time. Can those sprinters get themselves over that climb? Those sort of versatile riders, your classics riders, Marta Bastianelli, she can get over the climbs when she needs to. Will the team keep her well to the front in this one? I am very interested to see what Sunweb can do today. Leah Kirschman has been on the podium multiple times in La Course. Anna Henderson, the young British rider, has been doing some great work in the last few races as we've kicked things off. There's Marta Bastianelli wearing 101, the Italian national champions jersey. And, as we said, very versatile rider rolling out. You can see the pace very high, straight from the off here. Everyone thinking about this climb and getting to the front to make sure that they're in contention as they run in towards that one. Hi-Tech Products, that blue and grey jersey of Hi-Tech Products. Lucy van der Haar, British rider, is wearing 141. Had a great start to the season before the COVID-19 pandemic and going into lockdown. She had a great start to the year. Backed up here as well by the likes of Mike Kroger. If you were with us yesterday for the European Championship mixed relay, the rider who wearing 143 there, right in the centre of your picture in that blue jersey with the white band across the centre, Mike Kroger, you would have seen her take that European title yesterday. So she's had a bit of a drive down here to get her to La Course. Erica Magnaudi here, the Italian rider in the blue and red jersey on the front. Great climber is Erica Magnaudi, and setting things out quite early here in this one. So good to see the Sarah Tizet WNT rider coming through to the front. Bull Dolmans. They've got Christine Majerus, no Anna van der Breggen today for Bull Dolmans. Christine Majerus could be their protected rider. The temperature 23, just under 24 degrees at the moment. That's about 74 degrees Fahrenheit. Cloudy. They did weather forecast a little bit of chance of thunderstorms a little bit later on. The wind for the riders north-northwesterly at about 9 kilometers, and excellent air quality today, which is good to know, good to see. A couple of riders here, little breakaway group just starting to clip off the front. Rally cycling, Chloe Hosking leading the team, Krista Dobell-Hickok, Heidi Franz, Leanne Ganza, Sarah Poitevin and Emma White. Team Tipco, they're these navy blue jerseys. Good to see Team Tipco here. Lawrence Stevens could be a contender today, could Lawrence Stevens. As Tipco just neutralised that little move off the front. So we are 92.8 kilometres to go. Diana Punuela, Shannon Mousey, Nina Kessler and Leah Dixon is the rest of Team Tipco. Parker, this is the Aroma Italia Viano squad. And Emily Mattioli is the rider just behind, Mitchelton Scott rider here of Jess Allen. And this Aroma Italia Viano team. Russell Levite, the Lithuanian, She has came back into the racing, did a good performance in Strada Bianchi, actually. Did Rasa Lalavite, rather, Letizia Borghese. She's wearing 202. Kind of a bit of a rising star of Italian cycling is Letizia Borghese. That stage victory in the Giro Rosa last year has kind of put herself up there, got her name recognised. That's definitely going to help her grow in confidence. Point out some of your jerseys, your other teams. Canyon SRAM in the centre there, those black jerseys with the orange, yellow, pink and light blue flashes. And of course, we cannot have a race like this without flagging up Cassia Niewiadoma. Was up there in that phenomenal group, that phenomenal move that went away in the European Road Race Championships. Niewiadoma finally getting, as she was asking on social media in the week, for a little bit of luck that she needed, and the form is definitely coming. Elena Amelia Suk, Hannah Barnes, Tiff Cromwell, Jessica Pratt and Oma Shapira. That's the Canyon SRAM team. Movistar here, the light blue jerseys with the big M's. Shayla Gutierrez rode a good national championship. Shayla Gutierrez, she's got Katrine Allerud Ode Bionique in this race as well. Paola Patino, another rider up there for that team. Lotto Soudal ladies, familiar with that jersey, black top to the jersey, white and red colours. Lotte Kopecky is backed up by the likes of Danny Christmas, Abby May Parkinson in there as well, Ariana Fidanza, Lona Mertens and Turntia Bikus. In the centre there is Sandra Levenet from Team Arkea in that red jersey and the white. So good to see her well to the front of this one. Emma Cecily Nordgaard here, the Danish national champion, right in the centre of your picture. So everyone getting themselves well in position as we approach the Col de Rimier. 90.2 kilometers to go. You can see already some riders starting to be distanced off the back of this group. Starting to get tough out there for the riders. Edrij Patel wearing 2:11. Back up to the front of the race. We can see that we're starting to get a few attacks at the front. Parkertel Valkenburg, those white jerseys with the pink and green chevrons. Christine Majerus in that red, white and blue jersey as the champion of Luxembourg. Vita Heine just starting to get distanced off the back of the group. Edrij Patel here. Still is riding well. She's 53 now, is this rider. Could see her still competing at World Tour level. 12 victories in her career, twice the national champion of France. You can see they've decided to make this tough from the start here. There was coming into this race, there was a lot. The climbers were saying it wasn't hard enough. The sprinters were hoping that they were going to be able to get over the top of the climb and keep themselves in contention and perhaps bring it down to a group sprint at the end. But I think it's going to be a select group that we'll have come in towards the finish today. For Trek Segafredo, good to see them all well to the front here. Trek Segafredo. So Lizzie Deignan, Loretta Hansen, Elisa Longoborghini, Anna Plichter, Taylor Wiles and Ruth Winder. That is the makeup of the Trek Segafredo team. Lucy van der Haar, unfortunately, just getting distanced here on the first climb. I think we've got Joanna now. Joanna, we're already on this climb. Sprinters, fast finishers here like Lucy van der Haar. This is kind of what we thought might be the case today. It's tough from the start. The climbers, I was just saying, weren't sure it was tough enough for them, but it's short enough for this race to be really, really hard from the start.
Yeah, exactly. A 96-kilometre race, you've got to race that hard from the off. And like you say, there were definitely a few climbers before this race questioning, was it hard enough? Was it worthy of World Tour status? It's a huge showcase of women's cycling being at the Tour de France. And there was a few questions over that. But it's like you say, riders being distanced already. And yeah, it's showing to be a tough race. We're about 13 minutes into the race, 89 kilometres to go. Few riders being distanced here, and it is all about how the race is ridden. You know, whatever the parcours is, whatever the route is, whatever the climbs are, the riders make the race. And currently, you can see all these groups just chipping off the back here.
That was Fatima El Hayani, the champion of Morocco, and her teammates just ahead of her. So Demi Vollering right in the centre of your picture here. Omar Shapir on the left there, champion of Israel. Cecilia Trupp-Ludwig just moving up on the right there in the colours of FDJ. There's your US national champion, Ruth Winder. And with her in that Canyon Tram jersey with the red and white bands around the jersey is Kasia Niewiadoma. So quite a few riders at the back. Anastasia Carbonari is the rider at the back. So tough day. Again, Joe, when you look at this sort of parkour, you look at this sort of route, a climb straight out of the blocks like this.
Yeah, you want to be well warmed up for this sort of race as well. There will have been riders sort of taking a warm-up seriously for this and thinking we're going to be riding, you know, almost at threshold early on. There'll have been other riders that, you know, perhaps won't have taken that quite so seriously, thought they'll let their legs ride into it. And that would have been a huge mistake today. With the race being relatively short, I mean, you know, we're still talking about a 2.5-hour race here at 96 kilometres. You know, we're not talking about a crit, but because of the route, because it is going straight up this climb, you need to be ready. You need to be ready to ride at that sort of, you know, zone 3, zone 4, zone 5 potentially early on. And you know, you don't want to put yourself into the red, but the route is leaning itself towards a hard start.
Annemiek van Vleuten up towards the front here, right in the centre of your picture, the world champion, Anna Henderson from Sunweb, just on the left, and the Equipe Paul Ricard up towards the front. Annemiek, it's been a busy week for the riders, that European title for Annemiek van Vleuten. I think she's got the sunglasses on today, but I think what we had in the European Road Race Championships was seeing a rider that really had to work harder and dig deeper than I think we've seen her go for quite a while to take that European title.
Yeah, that was fascinating. Annemiek's had had an unbeaten streak from World Championships last September, won Het Nieuwsblad in February. Obviously, we had a gap of no racing for a long time, but then she won 3 races back-to-back in Spain, won the Strade Bianche, then got beaten for the first time in, well, almost a year at the National Championships for the Netherlands by Anna van der Breggen, which must have hurt. You know, like I say, she'd been unbeaten for almost a year in any race that she'd ridden, 51st at Plouay, but then came back with a spectacular win at the European Championship, showing what a great rider she is.
She's indeed. Now we're sprinting it out here for the Queen of the Mountains points. So good to see Christine Majerus there sprinting it out with Danny Christmas. So the British rider Danny Christmas in the centre. Majerus goes Queen of the Mountains classification. McNally wanted this one as well. So you had the 3 riders going for it, but it was between Majerus and Christmas on the line. Good to see Danny Christmas up here. Christine Majerus. Majerus for me today, Joe, potentially, when you look at the contenders, as you see Marianne Vos moving up there in the orange, when you look at the potential contenders for this one today, Christine Majerus for Bull Dolmans, without Anna van der Breggen here, if they get behind her, she's that sort of versatile rider that's got a decent kick. Should she manage to get into a select group, it would be good, I think, to see Bull Dolmans get behind her today.
Yeah, definitely. So they've got a few options, Bull Dolmans. So like you say, no Anna van der Breggen here, who is a previous winner. They have got Jolien D'Or. They've got Chantal van der Broek Black, another previous world champion. So a few options. So definitely a team where I think other teams will be questioning who are they getting behind today, what's their tactic going to be, because they've got those sort of versatile riders that can perform on a variety of different terrains, and they've got those strong sprinters as well. So I think Christine Majerus there showing that she's got good legs. It's interesting to go for that, obviously trying to get those points, but yeah, almost showing her cards there, showing that she's got the good legs. But yeah, what a ride by Danny Christmas as well, getting right up there.
Yeah, she's good. Danny Christmas, for British fans who might not be familiar with Danny, she took a kind of different approach into world cycling. She's a former track and field athlete, real talent. Went off kind of, we're sort of used to sort of different ways of seeing riders come into the pro peloton, and she went off, rode for Vizcaya Durango, then was picked up by Lotto Soudal Ladies, won a stage in the Kruisbreis race. She won a virtual race earlier on in the year as well, in the virtual women's tour, from what we affectionately called her patio of power. A lot of riders enjoying the time during lockdown, the virtual races. But she's really, Danny sort of seems like she's really growing in stature, growing in confidence now that she's within the setup like Lotto Soudal.
Yeah, it's really interesting to see that. So Danny's 32 years old, and like you say, coming into the sport a little bit later, which you do see in women's cycling. There isn't quite the same pathway as there is for men's pro cycling. You know, you get the good juniors, and you get the under 23 category. We haven't got the under 23 category. So you know, when you're 19 years old, you're thrown straight into the elite women's peloton, which can be a really sort of steep learning curve for a lot of riders. And you do see a lot of riders coming into the sport a bit later, transferring from different sports. And it does seem to be, we have these events where, you know, it's not sort of just one demographic that's winning. You know, you do get riders of different ages performing. You get riders that are first-year seniors winning world championships. You know, the likes of Marianne Vos, the likes of Amélie de Dixon winning it very young. But you also do get these riders in their 30s performing really well. So you do get that real variety.
Ruth Winder on the front in that Stars and Stripes jersey. Cassia Niewiadoma right on her hip. Omar Shapiro moving up. Good to see the young New Zealand champion up here as well, Niamh Fisher-Black, riding for Equipe Pour Le Car. So this peloton, these riders on the back of the group here, be quite pleased that there's been a slight lull in the action here. Team Sunweb, number 11, Leah Kirchmann from Canada, always performs well in La Course. Does Leah Kirchmann. Always seems like it doesn't matter what sort of course they put it on, it does suit her. Leah Thomas in the centre there, in that white jersey of Equipe Pour Le Car. So she's a rider again. Watch out for her potentially today. This could suit her nicely. So a few riders. That pressure on, and we had that Queen of the Mountains point there, Joe, and it keeps climbing.
Yes, it does. So we've talked about this climb, but really you are carrying on for, well, almost another sort of 8 kilometres gradually uphill, and this is the sort of area where we're seeing these riders getting distance. You know, you can almost sort of get in your head getting over that sort of Queen of the Mountains. But you're still climbing. I remember one of my very first pro races being absolutely stunned to find that the hills in the race weren't just the categorised ones. I think I had, you know, a list of maybe 3 or 4 categorised climbs on my stem, and thinking that was the only hills I had to get through that day. But obviously there's far more climbs in a race than what I categorise. So like you see here, a lot of riders suffering, a lot of riders working hard to try and get back there. They're not giving up at all, but at the front we're still seeing some action, still seeing some attacks here.
Omar Shapira, the next rider to go. Erica Magnaudi tries to get on, latch onto the wheel. Demi Vollering not far away from the front. Demi Vollering, again, is a rider. Good form, Demi Vollering, for Park Hotel Valkenburg. We'll just run you through the Women's World Tour standings. You can see your World Tour leader there, right in the centre in that purpley coloured jersey. Leanne Lippert still leading in the general classification and the youth standings in the Women's World Tour. 472 points she now has over Lizzie Deignan, who leapfrogged over Annemiek van Vleuten with that victory in the last round in GP Plouay. Lizzie Banks has moved herself up to 4th. She's with 328 points. Mavi Garcia now in 5th. She's not here today. She's on 320. Arlena Sierra from Astana, she's in 6th. Amanda Spratt 7th. Marta Bastianelli 8th. Leah Thomas 9th. And Chiara Consoni is 10th. That is the Women's World Tour. Chantal Vandenbroek Black moving up towards the front. Lizzie Deignan still keeping herself out of trouble at the front of this. So Chantal up towards the front. Marianne Vos, there'll be plenty of chat around that CCC Live team to make sure that they keep Marianne Vos in contention. Could potentially, Joe, today be the first rider to win La Course 3 times, as could Annemiek van Vleuten.
Yeah, of course. So Marianne Vos won the first ever edition back in 2014 when it was on the Champs-Élysées. And then she also won last year in Pau, which was a spectacular finish. You know, we've had some really spectacular finishes of the course over the years. We've obviously had different courses, different routes. It suited different riders. But Vos, you know, is such an incredible all-rounder. And she seems in good form at the moment. She was top 10 at the European Championships. I think she was 8th there. Has had some sort of good results, and I think this is a course where we're sort of talking about, you know, it's not one for the pure climbers, but it's almost too hard for the pure sprinters. So Vos is always a good bet on this sort of route, and she's a rider that you've always got to respect on any route. You know she's always going to be up there. She positions herself well. You know, really skillful bike rider as well. So always one to watch out. And you can see her there with little rainbow bands on the end of her sleeves, looking completely relaxed at the front of the peloton.
So that's Leah Corigné just off the back of this group. There's lots of, we got 3 riders in here from Movistar. This front group is just thinning down all of the time, this front group. Winder just moves out. Demi Vollering from Park Hotel Valkenburg, right in the centre, is looking very strong today already on this climb. So this we were waiting with anticipation of what we thought, how we thought this race might unfold, and on this first climb already you can see that this is they're going to race this one from the gun. Both Anna Henderson and Lizzie Banks both well to the front. Sarah Tizet WNT just moving Anna Santesteban up towards Erica Magnaudi here. Catherine Hammes just bringing the former Spanish champion through towards the front. Van Vleuten, as you would expect on the climb, right towards the front. Anna Henderson right in the centre for Team Sunweb. And Sunweb have got as well Alison Jackson, Juliette Labousse and Floortje Mackay. Those are the team from Team Sunweb. As always, Joe, they fielded a really versatile team in this one, Sunweb.
Yeah, Sunweb, another team, like you say, loads of options, really strong riders. Leah Kirchmann, who you've already mentioned, has been on the podium of this event twice before. So second last year behind Marianne Vos, and she was third back in 2014. So in the first edition and the latest edition, she's been on the podium, and like you say, really versatile. And they've got a lot of options. It's great to see Anna Henderson up there, the young British rider, new signed to Team Sunweb, but obviously very few race opportunities so far this year for everybody. So it's brilliant to see her riding well.
The Valcar jersey in the centre, that bright pink jersey. Now it's Equipe Paula Car that come up towards the front. Leah Thomas, Yep, Vandenbos just moving up for Bull Dolman. So we've gone through, as we said, we've gone through the Queen of the Mountains point, and then the road keeps going up. And you can see what sort of damage that's done already to the peloton on this opening climb. All of our main contenders that we talk about expected are up here. We haven't seen anyone at the moment that we wouldn't expect, or we would expect to be in this front group who's been dropped. Vizcaya Durango are also in here, the pink jersey. Got the blue sleeve as well for Vizcaya Durango. They're just trying to bring Shayla Gutierrez, number 81, there back into the group. So a lot of work being done here by Gloria Rodriguez, number 86. She did a great job in the Spanish National Road Race Championships, did Gloria Rodriguez, to try and bring back Mavi Garcia and Anis Antesteban. They didn't manage to do it, but she's a strong domestique, and she's managing to bring Shayla Gutierrez back into this group. And Jessica Pratt there, wearing 55. That will help her. Lara Vicella is number 96. And then also in here, Turnti Bikus and Lone Mertens. This is what you want, isn't it, Joe? A domestique like this that will just sacrifice themselves for you.
Yeah, definitely. So working really hard there, and this group is going to get back on. Obviously, they've worked really hard on this climb to make that junction back there. But once we've got the descent, unless there's any real big attacks in the front, I think a lot of these riders will get back. But obviously, they are putting a lot of effort, which you are going to pay for later on in this race.
Demi Vollering on the front. Lizzie Deignan well in contention. Marianne Vos with the teammates. This, again, we're waiting for some more attacks potentially before the top of this one. Before we start the descent, Taylor Wiles now moves through to the front to assist Lizzie Deignan. Elisa Longoborghini also up there as Christine Majerus now puts in another attack. For me today, Joe, Elisa Longoborghini, not wanting to give her the curse of the commentator, but Elisa Longoborghini, after that European title, she's not far away from a big win in the World Tour this year, and this could be a great course for her.
Yeah, we know she's in good form, and she's hungry as well. I think when you get second places and you get so close, it just makes you even hungrier for success. So it's really interesting to see the Trek Segafredo team on the front here. Taylor Wiles, followed by Lizzie Deignan, followed by Elisa Longoborghini, determined to make this hard. You can see them putting the effort in here, determined to string out this bunch. And you've got the usual suspects, Christine Majerus there, Marianne Vos with the rainbow bands on her jersey. But yeah, Trek Segafredo showing their intentions here.
They are. Valcar well to the front in those bright pink jersey, as Elisa Balsamo is another rider who's on great form at the moment. She's got a really fast kick on her and climbing really well in this one. The new European under-23 road race champion. She's been kept well to the front of this one. Anna Henderson with the World Tour leader right on the wheel. Here comes Annemiek van Vleuten up towards the front for Mitchelton Scott. I think she really showed her versatility this week, did Annemiek van Vleuten, in that finishing sprint with Elisa Longoborghini.
Yeah, definitely. I think that was possibly slightly unexpected by some people, but it shows how strong she is. It shows you how strong she is at the end of a bike race like that, at the end of a long, hard race. Slight problem here for Emma Norsgaard, I think.
Yeah, front wheel puncture, it looks like, for Emma Norsgaard. Hand up for the national champion of Denmark. So a bit of a mechanical, and young rider.
She has been in good form recently. I think she got bronze at the under 23 road race at the European Championship. So she was one I was interested to see how would perform on this course, because she is a very fast finisher, and only 21 years old. So exciting talent there, but yeah, going to be some hard work for her to get back on now.
Yeah, difficulty here is the team cars not being able to get past those riders that have been tailed off, because they do hold them until there's a clear point where you can get past. So that's going to be the difficulty for Emma Norsgaard there.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's tough to see, but the race still very much on here. Taylor Wiles still putting in the effort on the front. You can see that expression on her face, which she does quite a lot, but she's turning a good pace here. Annemiek van Vleuten tucked in behind her there, looking quite relaxed. Anna Henderson as well on the front, and Leanne Lippert in that leader's jersey, not far behind as well.
Lauren Stevens from Team Tibco, she's a rider that I've highlighted today. She's moving up towards the front, keeping herself. You can just see her with that blue jersey, the yellow bike, the sort of yellow down the middle of the helmet for Team Tibco. So watch out for her. Anna Henderson, though, for Team Sunweb. This is, they're really ripping things up now on the front. It's just one team after another here that are trying to make this race really, really hard. Right from the off to thin this one down. Last year's edition of La Course in Pau, we had some breakaway groups last year. We had attacks from the likes of Audrey Cordon-Ragot and then Amanda Spratt before that got caught right on that steep little climb up towards the finish. So riders just getting tailed off at the back. So we will run down towards Nice. If you're just joining us today, welcome. This is the 7th edition of La Course by the Tour de France. 96 kilometers, 2 laps of this 47.5 kilometer circuit. This Col de Rimier, we can see already, is going to give us an exciting race, and it's going to be a quick one today.
Yes, it is. So, we're talking about potentially 2.5 hours of racing, if not even less, riding fast so far, making sort of almost light work of this climb by the runners at the front of this group. And it is, like I say, it's that shorter race. Often you're used to racing for 3.5, 4 hours. So, like I say before, it does take a good warm-up and focus from the start.
Grace Brown just descends onto the back. We are starting the descent and then the run back into Nice, and then we will head back out for lap 2. Anna Henderson just floating down this descent. The British rider on the front, for international fans that might not be familiar with Anna Henderson, Joe, comes from alpine skiing, and she's something when you watch her on the descents. So on the descent, Anna Henderson, that downhill skier, she can really, she throws that bike down the descent. She's bringing Leanne Lippert through to the front. Voss well in contention here. So plenty of big names. Looks like Chloe Hosking is still in there, just moving up in that orange jersey of Team Rally. Grace Brown just on the descent here. And the Hi-Tech Products team just in front. And that's Ingrid Lorvik. And for Tibco, it's Leah Dixon, another British rider. And then Majerus looks like she's going to try the attack on the descent. Nuvia Doma glancing round, they're just keeping an eye on this descent. Majerus is going to take the front as they lean into the corners, start to take these hairpins. Leah Dixon, British rider, won the Virtual Women's Tour earlier on in the year. And Another rider that's finding in. Oh, Christine Majerus just locks it up on that descent. Just runs a little bit wide, drops that left foot out as they hit that one. Just a drop down and away a little bit, that corner, didn't it, as they lined up for that one. Kasia Niewiadoma just encouraging everybody just to watch the corners ahead on this descent. And this will give the chasers, the riders in that group, the opportunity just to potentially come back on this descent. So sets things up nicely at the moment. It's interesting here seeing Kasia just giving everyone the sign here, Joe, on the descent, just to watch the corners.
Yeah, definitely. So everyone wants to be able to ride safely and descend safely. So we got quite a technical descent here, and a technical descent can be really hard work to ride. You know, you're going with gravity, so you think it would be easier, but you find yourself sprinting out of the hairpins. If you have to brake a little bit more than someone else, if you just, like we saw before, you just lock up a little bit, it's all those extra little sprints. So, and psychologically that can be difficult, because in your head you've done the climb and you're thinking, right, we've got a nice descent here to relax now. But these riders at the front, these are in the best position, totally in control, can descend at their pace and dictate the pace of the rest of the bunch.
Nice and relaxed is Kasia Niewiadoma on the front. The first descent of the Col de Roumier is behind us. We are on the descent as we head back in towards Nice. At the base of this descent, we've got about a 30-kilometer run in towards the finish. If you were the sport director this morning, Joe, and you were looking at the plan and listening to all the chat before we got going today, what would have been your race plan going into this one?
Yeah, if I had riders that were sort of fast finishers, but also strong climbers, I would say we need to make this race hard. You know, we need to get rid of all those pure sprinters. We need to get rid of the sort of people that can get back on a descent and, use that long run into the finish to get themselves back in the bunch. You need to distance them early. You need to make them work hard from the start. You don't want them coming to the finish with any sort of fresh legs. If I were a team manager of a team with, mainly climbers and not so many fast finishers, I'd be saying we need to be attacking, we need to be breaking this up and getting breakaways going. At the moment we've not seen any big attacks. We're actually seeing we're getting more broken up on this descent here. Like I said, the descents can often be amazingly hard. When they are technical, it is hard work to ride them. You think it's going to be easier, but you keep losing a bike length here, a bike length there. Kasia Niewiadoma descending brilliantly here though.
Yeah, Kasia on the front, Anna Henderson just laying off, just keeping an eye on the Canyon SRAM rider. Important on descents though as well, isn't it? Just give yourself enough space, the way Anna Henderson's doing here, following Kasia Niewiadoma, but you just lay off, back off a little bit so you can see the road ahead and adjust your line accordingly if you need to.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's the perfect position there for Anna Henderson. She's right at the front. She's second wheel in the bike race, but she's just giving herself enough room to see what's coming. This is getting nice and sort of technical here. Quite a few bends, but she can see what she's doing. She's got space to react. She's got time to react if anything goes wrong. And she's ascending really nicely. You can see all these gaps forming on this ascent. Far more gaps here than we had on the climb for this group.
We see it, don't we? Races that can be won. You can going away on a descent. We always look at the climbs where to make the difference, but we've seen many races over the years where just someone able to carry that speed and attack on a descent. And we see Leah Dixon here, where from Team Tibco, number 132. The difference in the confidence on the descent.
Yes, if you're a confident descender, you can descend quite easily. You can be in control. You're not putting in those sprints out of the corners. You can dictate the pace. Anyone that's not as confident is going to constantly be playing catch up, and you're constantly sort of on edge as well with that adrenaline, like on and off the brakes. that's not a good position to be in. You want to be able to have that bit of time to relax if you can, if you've climbed hard, but have to really, really concentrate on the descents as well, which is sort of mentally fatiguing as well, which is something that we can easily forget about. But bike racing is, very much a mental game as well. So we can see here spaced out a long way down this road, and these riders will come back together when we come onto the flat, but you are having to work that little bit harder. There's little bits of extra chasing just to get to that wheel in front. And that all adds up in a race. It's a relatively short race. We've only got 2 ascents and two descents of this climb. But, if you want to come into the finish as fresh as possible, you don't have to be wasting energy here if you can.
That was a great aerial shot, just showing how spread out on this descent the peloton is. So a little group potentially just forming at the front here. I think it's Taylor Wiles that's the Trek rider that's not far from the front. Emma Norsgaard, just the Danish champion, just seeing that jersey. We saw her having a mechanical on the way up, the Equipe Pour le Car rider, just ahead of her teammate here. This is Maria Vittoria Sparotto. And Emma Norsgaard just charging her way through the group in that red and white Danish champions jersey, using this descent to try and get back into contention.
Yeah, definitely. She's a really exciting rider to watch. Only 21 years old, really strong sprinter, and a rider that, if she can get over these climbs, really exciting to see how she can perform in a race like this. So she was one of the names that I wrote down today. So yeah, typical commentator curse for her then to unfortunately have a mechanical. But this is an interesting group we're seeing here at the front here. I see a group of confident descenders as well as strong climbers. Cassie Niewiadoma and Henderson now coming to the front and sort of leading the way on this descent, which is brilliant to see.
Yeah, I think it's actually Elisa Longo-Borghini that's up here for Trek Segafredo. Christine Majerus is also in there. Henderson, as we were saying, former downhill skier, British junior downhill skier. Good to see her using that descending ability in this Women's World Tour race. Can they drag this group off the front? A great demonstration here how to use the descent perfectly. Henderson carrying the speed here for Sunweb. For a rider like Anna Henderson, Sunweb are that sort of versatile team that will react, and that Cecilie Uttrup Ludwig in there in the blue and white jersey of FDJ. Sunweb are the sort of team that will just react on the road. So Anna Henderson, if she's in a position, they'll give her the lead, won't they? They're that sort of team.
Yeah, so definitely communication during the race is key. Being honest with your teammates is key. So, perhaps you could be the rider before the race where they've said, your team leader today. But when you're out on the road, being able to be honest with your teammates, say, actually, I haven't really got the legs today. Perhaps this isn't the day for me. And equally, your job can be potentially to be a domestique, but you can get on the bike and feel amazing. And Anna Henderson here showing how good she is on these technical descents, completely at ease at the front of this group. Just having a little look around, seeing what's going on. I think she's possibly a little bit surprised herself to see we've actually got a group of 6 riders here, so select group, not far to the next group behind, but huge amount of energy saved here for all these riders to just be here ready and waiting for the race to come to them now.
Indeed. So a good move off the front. I think it's Lotta Kopecky that's in here as well. That's made it in here. There's Christine Majerus, Elisa Longo-Borghini, and it is Lotta Kopecky that's up here, wearing number 151 for Lotto Soudal. Then you've got Cassia Niewiadoma from Canyon SRAM, and then Anna Henderson from Team Sunweb, and Cecilie Uttrup Ludwig. So a team of big names. And then you've got a chasing group behind. So some orange jerseys in there. Actually, from the aerial shot, I think Chloe Hosking is one of the riders is in that group. So remember, Team Rally are in orange, and also the CCC Live team. Good move. Yeah, good demonstration on that descent, how to drag a group off the front. Uttrup Ludwig, for me, in that European title, the championship race the other day, Joe, Cecilie just had that, she went down in that crash with Lizzie Deignan just at the wrong moment. It was almost in the end that it was attack after attack after attack as she tried to get away to try and take that title, almost desperation, but she looked phenomenal, and she came into the last few weeks. She's come into this block of racing, that Giro d'Emilia, first victory for FDJ, and another rider today that I really highlighted after the ride she did in the week.
Yeah, definitely. A really strong all-rounder, to say Luke Trip-Ludwig, and you know, a real crowd favourite, a real favourite amongst the peloton. 25 years old now, so she's someone we've talked about for quite a while as an up-and-coming young rider, and she's really sort of starting to live up to expectations. She was on the podium at La Course last year. She's won a race this year, and you know, it's someone that everyone's always pleased to see. She's not afraid of getting stuck in, always willing to go on the attack and give it a go, and it's a pleasure to watch her race. So really pleased to see her make this group here, and this group working really well together, and that gap to the group behind is drawing out.
It is indeed. Niamh Fisher-Black for Equipe Paul Ricard, the champion of New Zealand. Good to see another national champions jersey in here. Anis Esteban up towards the front of this one. Your World Tour leader, Liane Lippert. There's Annemiek van Vleuten just talking into the radio there for Mitchelton Scott. So this team are one of the teams that have missed out here, just clipping off the front now. The New Zealand champion just tucking it down, really, really aerodynamic on the bike. Marianne Vos is in that chasing group. There's your time gap in the top corner. 22 seconds is the gap between our leaders and that chasing group behind. What's your feeling here, Joe? Do you think it's just a little bit too far out at the moment to go? But they've got to invest in it, haven't they? You just never know.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it is quite early, and we've got this long, you know, stretch of roads where you can see ever so far ahead. You know, it's not the sort of road you want to be in a breakaway. You know, you want to get out of sight and out of mind in an ideal world. So we've got 6 really strong riders here from, you know, 6 really teams. So that's 6 teams that won't be chasing, that won't be invested in bringing this group back. So it's really quite actually helps the riders chasing, because they can get well organised, but they haven't got, you know, that huge sort of numbers that you would have in a peloton. So interesting to see how this plays out. Just having a little look at each other at the moment, just a little sort of look back, you know, how much gap have we got? Are we going to work? We're seeing it 20 seconds at the moment, so it's not huge. We're just checking to see if they can see the next group around this bend. They're about to come around in a second, and then they'll be back in sight. We can see the orange jerseys on the front there leading the chase for this group.
So we will hit the line. So quite a bit of time before we get in there. There's Chloe Hosking in the orange jersey out the saddle just midway down the group. So Team Rally, and Chloe has been climbing quite well over the last couple of seasons. She was saying on social media that if she wasn't sure how it would go for the sprinters, but if she got herself in with a chance, she's a rider. If she just gets a sniff of the finish line, it's her race, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. So she's someone that's sort of labelled as a sprinter, but I think that there's a lot of riders in the women's peloton that you can label as something, but actually, you know, they can pull a surprise. It could be a really strong all-rounder, and Chloe Hosking is definitely one of those riders that can perform on a variety of courses. So, you know, she's there at the finish. Absolute strong bet for the win in a sprint. So it's up to her and her team, her teammates to keep her safe and keep her at the front of the race. But, you know, she's done brilliantly well to be in this second group on the road at the moment.
She has indeed. There's Anna Henderson, young British rider, former national criterion champion. So Elisa Longo-Borghini in that Trek Segafredo jersey, pedalling through towards the front. Christine Majerus, she took that first sprint for the Queen of the Mountains competition at the Col du Rimier. And this would be a big day for Cecilie Trip-Ludwig for Team FDJ. We are heading back round towards Nice. Our break, I have the gap of 24 seconds. Can they stay away? Counter-attacks coming behind from Ale Cipollini. Ale BTC Ljubljana, my apologies. So we've tasted from Cipollini. It's still taking me a couple of races to get used to the name change. Anis Esteban just trying to latch on here. Marianne Vos, there's just down the back of the group. Emilia Farlin is the FDJ rider there. You can see just with the stripes of the Swedish cuffs on her jersey. Marianne Vos just sitting back. Just super calm as always. Marianne Vos, Ilaria Sanguinetti just ahead of her. So those plenty of those Valcar jerseys that are in this group. So our chasing group here of 4 are about to be swept up. The camera just looking ahead. There's the group. So if they can persist with this one, if they can push this out to 30 seconds plus, Joe, it'll start to look like a much more serious move. We've got a little bit of rain now.
Yeah, definitely. So at the moment, 20-second gap. So this peloton could sort of easily hang them out to dry there and let them sort of work hard and sort of maintain that gap. But like you say, if it goes out more, it's going to be harder to bring it back. But at the moment, it's that horrible sort of middle ground where, you know, it's too big a gap to sit up and not invest in it, but it is not a big enough gap to sort of really settle. So I think the key, if you're in the peloton at the moment, is to not panic and sort of have faith that, you know, you still got 64 kilometers of racing to go here. But like you say, that front group is, you know, a really strong group of riders, that, you know, we talked about quite a lot of them coming into this as being in good form. We'd mentioned Christine Mujeres, we mentioned Alyssa Longo Borghini, and, you know, they're all living up to the form that we expected them to be in and being right up there.
They are indeed. Evgenia Bujak was a rider that was chasing from LA BTC Ljubljana in that yellow jersey. Rally, Chloe Hosking in there, so a real leader. As you can see, the thunderstorms that were forecast starting to come to fruition here. Michaela Harvey is up there, third in line, just having a gel for Equipe Paula Carr. So Chloe Hosking clearly here, Joe's given the team the nod that they need to chase.
Yes, definitely. So she's a rider that's sort of been, interestingly, to see her on social media. There's been some negativity about this race perhaps being too short or not hard enough. But, you know, every race is different. Every course will suit different riders. And I think she's someone that probably looked at this race and thought, you know what, I think I can do that. And it would be brilliant to see her win. Of course, she has won this event before a few years ago. But, you know, very different course this year to what we've seen before, and definitely a big target for her.
The riders make the race, though, don't they? So they got to make it as hard as they want to make it.
Absolutely.
25 seconds is the time gap. Team Rally are chasing on the front. Sunweb, a little bit of chat there from Leah Kirchmann to Leanne Lippert. So for Team Sunweb, Joe, Anna Henderson's a good bet to put into that move. The other teams, Elisa Longo Borghini, Kasia Niewiadoma, Cecilia Ludwig, they're out-and-out team leaders in this one. So as you said, yeah, we were saying, you could essentially, for the likes of Marianne Vos, the likes of Annemiek van Vleuten, leaving them out in that breakaway, tiring themselves out, potentially just taking the edge off the power that they might have at the end. So yeah, could almost eliminate them from the competition by just leaving them out there in that breakaway.
Yeah, exactly. You know, if I were in someone like Vos's position, I'd be saying, well, this is fine, you know, let's leave them out there, let's let them work hard. Anna Henderson, you know, brilliant, exciting young rider, but possibly not the rider that you'd highlight from Team Sunweb as to be the one that would be the team leader for today. You know, we've talked about them being so versatile, but, you know, what a brilliant position for the likes of sort of Leah Kirchmann, Leanne Lippert, Fletcher Mackay to be in, to have a teammate in that breakaway. They can sit back, they can relax, and they can just sort of see how the rest of the race unfolds. You know, if the group come back, they can be fresh. If the group stays away, then brilliant, they've got a rider in the break. So yeah, really nice tactics from Sunweb so far, and we've seen how good Anna Henderson is on those descents. And now the rain has come. Next time around, that's going to be even more technical, and if you are away in a small group, that is going to be a lot more comfortable position to be in than to be in a big peloton.
It will indeed. 61.7 kilometers to go in La Course. The rider here, Lizzie Banks, just moving up in the centre with the water bottles. So was back at the car, just moving up alongside the teammates, just distributing the bottles. Leah Thomas right on the wheel. They ride a great tandem, these two riders, don't they? They really bounce off each other, Lizzie Banks and Leah Thomas.
They do, and it's been brilliant to see them race, thinking back to the women's tour last year in the UK, and then the Giro Rosa, seeing Lizzie Banks win a stage there. She's someone that I've really enjoyed following her journey into cycling, sort of slightly later coming into the sport, you know, not late by any means, but sort of in her mid-20s when she started racing at a high level and just going from strength to strength. So really exciting to see her and see how she's progressing. And for Lizzie Banks particularly, she's a rider that I think can benefit from the fact that the Olympics have been pushed back a year. She's got, you know, an extra chance to have more racing in her legs, and, you know, a really strong contender to be selected for Team GB for an Olympic Games next summer.
Indeed. Voss just hanging out down the back of the group. Ruth Winder, for American fans, in the centre of your picture there in that Stars and Stripes jersey. Started the year phenomenally well, did Ruth Winder. Kicked things off with that stage win and the general classification victory in the Santos Women's Tour Down Under. So she started away out 8th in the Cadel Evans road race, just having a little chat into the radio for Trek Segafredo. Such multiple potentials that they've got for this race today, Trek Segafredo. They've got Elisa in this group. We know what sort of form she's on from the ride that she did up in Plouay, but with Lizzie Deignan on great form, Ruth Winder looks like she's on some good form as well. For me, the sort of evolution and watching Trek Segafredo grow season on season. I mean, they're big names, they're big champions anyway, but they're really gelling and really growing as an outfit.
Yeah, definitely, and it's all about how those names can work together effectively. Like, it can always sort of almost raise an eyebrow when you see a lot of big name riders signed to the same team, signed to a new team, and you sort of think, how is that going to work? Like, potentially that could be an incredibly strong team, but potentially you could also have sort of leadership battles within it. But they seem to be mastering that really well. So they're in a nice position here with Longa Borghini in the break, and they've got Ruth Winder and Lizzie Deignan in the next group. You know, for someone like Lizzie Deignan, a local rider living sort of relatively just down the road in Monaco, she can relax knowing she's got a teammate in the break. You know, she looked super strong on the climb, really relaxed in the front of that group. So sort of really no pressure on her at the moment. She can sit in this group and relax nicely.
She can indeed. Riders are looking for bottles, feeding time. Aude Bionic here from Team Movistar, the French rider. I'd like to see Movistar starting to give Aude a little bit more freedom now to be up there. She's former French champion, a really classy rider, French rider on the Spanish team. I think I'd like to see them get behind her a little bit more in races.
Yeah, I think that can be a challenge when you're on a team. How do you sort of make that transition from being one of the sort of domestiques that's sacrificing yourself to being that one that's given those opportunities? Because obviously, if you do keep doing that sort of domestique role, then you don't get the chance to sort of go for yourself. So it's a question that's often raised. You know, how do you make that transition? But I think it's a case of taking opportunities whenever they arise, always putting yourself in the right position, always showing how strong you are and how versatile you are. So yeah, definitely one to watch out for.
If you're just joining us, your breakaway group is made up of Lotte Kopecky on the front there for Lotto Soudal, Cecilie Uttrup Ludwig from FDJ, Aquitaine Futuroscope. And you've got Anna Henderson in there from Team Sunweb, Kasia Nuviadoma in there for Canyon SRAM, Christine Majerus from Bull Dolmans, and Elisa Longa Borghini from Trek Segafredo. Quite a sizable group coming back here, Joe. This could be a sign for potentially for the next lap. We said 30 kilometers out. This is the opportunity. This is what we're seeing now as we run back in towards Nice. Potentially, if this is a demonstration that the sprinters could get back in. It's far enough from the finish.
Yeah, definitely. It's far enough, and you've got those big, wide open roads. It's easy to sort of get a chase group working well together. So we've seen that group join up. But however, to this lead group, the lead's gone up now 48 seconds. So we've seen a rider from Raleigh on the front working, pretty much on her own to try and bring this back together for Chloe Hosking. But she's going to need some help from other teams. At the moment, on her own. This group of 6 riders out the front, really strong, and they've sort of got their heads down. They're working well together. They are a strong a strong group, and currently, up to 49 seconds now. So they need to have some other teams get involved, or otherwise it's going to just go to the breakaway.
And right on cue, Equipe Paul Ricard, the Danish champion, takes a flyer over the top and gets through to the front. Now Equipe Paul Ricard look like they've got to try and bring this one back. Reaction there from Lizzie Deignan and Ruth Winder, keeping themselves to the front of the group. So starting to see a chase now. So Emma Norsgaard on the front, Niamh Fisher-Black right behind her, and then Michaela Harvey. So the two New Zealanders now being put to work in this one. Here comes Tenielle Campbell. I'm really excited about the rider here in the pink for Valcart, just moving up towards the front. Tenielle Campbell from Trinidad and Tobago, and for her, she's a real trailblazer. Tenielle Campbell from Trinidad and Tobago, phenomenal sprinter as well. She's a very quick rider, just moving up towards the front now. And she said in some interviews as well, she feels she wants to be the Usain Bolt of women's cycling, and so great for Trinidad and Tobago now to have a pro in the Women's World Tour. Here she is on the front, turned pro with Valcart after spending time last year in the World Cycling Centre team. Again, really leading the way in the world. We need to see more black women in the peloton as well. This is important for pro cycling. And Trinidad and Tobago, I have to say, it holds a special place in my heart, because that's where I started my broadcast career. So Trinidad and Tobago is almost like, it almost feels a little bit at home sometimes. So seeing Tenielle in the peloton here, I've got a little bit of pride there for Trinidad and Tobago.
Yeah, excellent. It's brilliant to see. So yeah, like you say, we've probably got at least 3 teams now investing in this chase. So we've seen Valcart, we've seen Equipe Paul Ricard, the rally team, and WNT as well getting up there now. So a few teams now realising that if they just leave it to one rider, it's not going to go their way. And all of a sudden, we've got 10 seconds to come back. We were at a 48-second gap, back down now to 37, 36 seconds. So really making a big difference here now.
She had a great season last year, Tenielle. Took across the world as well, in terms of won in Thailand. She completely closed out the Tour de Belle Isle Terre as well in France. 2-stage wins, general classification points, and the best young riders jersey. So this Valcart team, I think, will really help her, bouncing off the likes of Elisa Balsamo. So they've got a good team in here. Balsamo could be the rider that they're working for today. So Valcart are up towards the front, working with Equipe Paul Ricard here. We've got Trek Segafredo. They've got their breakaway group. The gap now has been chopped down. 45 seconds, 49 seconds that it went out to. So it could be that they get this breakaway back not far away from the finish line here in Nice. I think if they get back onto the climb, looking at the makeup of our breakaway group, I think looking at Christine Majerus, Cassia Niewiadoma, Longo Borghini, I think would probably put the hammer down again on that second ascent.
Yeah, and it also leaves the sort of door open for their teammates that have been able to sit in, be able to relax all this time on that sort of big, wide, straight roads. You get a huge advantage from sitting on the wheel on a road like that. You can really relax, you can really save a lot of energy. They could be in a position to launch some attacks as we come into the second ascent of this climb.
It is indeed. There's your confirmation of your group. Anna Henson, Cecilia Triblubic, Cassia Niewiadoma, Elisa Longo Borghini, Christine Majerus, and Lotte Kopecky. 21 seconds is that time gap. So it looks like potentially they could keep this breakaway. Can they keep it away until the bottom of the climb? There's your chasing group. The helicopter shot as we head past Nice Airport just pans up, and you can see that group just ahead. So I think this is going to come back together, and it'll give them that opportunity to set things up It's been a great race so far, though, Joe. It's been exactly what we thought. But if the climbers, if this comes back before the climb, the climbers, those riders that don't want to take give the likes of Chloe Hosking an opportunity to try and win this one at the end, they are going to have to make it super hard on this second ascent.
Yeah, exactly. So they've all ridden the climb now. They all know what it's like. They've done a full lap, so you know exactly what you've got to play with. You know that you've got that technical descent. We've had the rain coming down as well, so that is another factor. And we've seen how bigger gaps can develop on the descent alone. So you know, if you are a strong climber, you know you've got that climb to make the difference. But you know that you can hold that gap on the descent. That could be a real race-winning move. But this huge long run into the finish really does play into the hands of anybody chasing. So if I were a sprinter, I'd be thinking, sit in and bide my time and trust my teammates, because you've got such a long run in, such big wide rows where you can see the people that you're trying to chase. That if I were someone like Chloe Hosking, I would keep the faith in that sense.
1 hour of racing so far now, 4 minutes and 46 seconds and counting. The peloton has the breakaway group in its sights. Emma Norsgaard, that has been the rider that's done the damage. We saw her have a mechanical on the climb, but everything comes back together. Anna Henderson just talking into the radio. Everyone just taking that opportunity to grab a drink. A good chase, really well organised, the Equipe Paula Carr in that chase.
Yeah, they were. So they got 3 riders up the front there quickly. They obviously made the decision to go up to the front to get chasing, and they were the team that really sort of instigated other teams to get involved in that chase. So well done to them for sort of taking the initiative on that one. And the likes of Lizzie Banks, the likes of Leah Thomas can sit in that group and look forward to the next climb and see what they can do there.
Heading along the Promenade des Anglais, we're heading for the finish line, and then it will be the second ascent of the Col de Rimier, and it's a 5.8 kilometre climb that they're categorising, and then we keep climbing for quite a while. So the Sunweb team, they'll just give Anna Henderson a moment just to try and recover here as well, Joe. That again shows the team duties. So from the breakaway, just a moment, take a drink, grab a gel, and then it'll be back to work.
Yeah, exactly. So she was working hard in that breakaway, which you've got to do when you've got a gap like that. You can't just let it go. But that would have taken a lot of energy. Her teammates would have been able to relax. But she knows she's climbing well. She knows she's descending well. There's still another 51 kilometres of this race, but she can do a good job for her teammates. So they know how strong she is now. They've seen what she can do, and brilliant riders to have by your side as we come around this next lap.
Majerus from the breakaway, you can see now, is bringing her teammates up towards the front. So Jolien Dura, Amelie Didrikson, Lonneke Uneken, Jip van den Bos and Chantal van den Broek Black. That is the Bull Dolmans team today. Majerus, that opportunity was to get into the break. Now for her, it's back to team duties. We'll see if, looking down the group, if Amelie Didrikson has made it... but is still in this group. Everything would suggest that she is. Anna Plichter on the front here for the Trek Segafredo team. New champion of Poland in the time trial. So working nicely together are Trek Segafredo. Lizzie Deignan is sat third wheel. Ruth Winder is there. Emma Norsgaard moves through. So lining this one up. So the other competitions that we've got today, we have the Queen of the Mountains at the top of the 2 ascents of the Col de Rimier. We also have the Most Aggressive Rider award today. So that will be awarded at the end of this one. It's a fast run in towards the finish. This sets up beautifully though for a decent sized group sprint. I've just seen Amelie Didrikson in the orange jersey towards the front.
Jolien Dura's another one for Boels Dolmans, really fast finisher. She's another one to keep an eye out for that team. So Boels Dolmans, as always, strong team, versatility. We talked about Christine Majerus, before the race as someone that is in good form, and she showed that by being in that breakaway. But now they've still got a lot of riders that could do a lot of different things in this bike race.
They have indeed. So heading on here. So the lull now. We've almost got a little bit of a holding pattern now before we head back out to start the next climb. So a late BTC Ljubljana up towards the front. Tatiana Guderzo, you can see there from just talking into the radio, the second rider in the yellow and orange jerseys for LA BTC, former world champion. And constantly changing. Trek Segafredo, the team in this team of real big names. So going into the next group of races, Loretta Hansen moves through. She's now going to lead this one out. Now we're starting to see Marianne Vos in that orange jersey, the rainbow bands on the cuffs of her jersey. Marianne Vos, can she do the hat trick today? Annemiek van Vleuten has been very quiet so far, hasn't she?
Yeah, she has, and she was someone that was vocal about her. She felt this race wasn't long enough and wasn't hard enough to be worthy of World Tour status, which is something you can debate all day because every race is different, and the riders very much make the race, in my opinion. But she's the world champion. This is a huge race for women's cycling. It's a huge platform to be able to be at the Tour de France. The Tour de France brand is huge, and it's a great opportunity for any of the riders to showcase themselves. So understandably, she would want a race that would suit her. So I'm really interested to see what she's going to do on this next ascent. We've seen how hard it is. We've seen that it goes on, pretty much double the length of what is categorised. And she's positioned herself there on the left of your screen, just tucked behind Vos, I think. And she looked so in control that first time up the climb, just comfortably sat in sort of second or third wheel, always towards the front, never really under any pressure.
So it's going to be Valcar in the centre, Trek Segafredo and Equipe Poulakar that are going to lead through the line. So they have got one lap to go. We see the world champion, Annemiek van Vleuten, well in position. One lap to go here in La Course by the Tour de France. It's 47.5 kilometres now round for the second lap. The Col de Rimier awaits 5.8 kilometres, 5.1%. We are all together as we head out for lap 2. Will it come down to a bunch sprint? Lining up. So it was a hard start, Joe. It was a fast start, but I think they can really rip this one up now up the Côte de Rimier this time. I think they can make it really, really tough. Again, they hold that one. There's your Trek Segafredo team, who they've got plenty of options here. Elisa Longo Borghini, she was in that break, just pushing the teammate up towards the front as they head out towards this next climb. I think we're going to just reboot Joe for a moment. So they roll out. So the sprinters, we had a little bit of rain, didn't we, that last time on the descent? So we'll see how the weather is for the riders when they head round to that point of the circuit. Feelings now as we head back round towards the climb here, Joe. The Anna Henderson on the front, Team Sunweb, kind of similar tactics to they had last year. They really forced the pace when we were heading round Po and in towards the finish. We had that little steep climb right in towards the finish. But I don't think the climbers in this group, I want to take this one down to a bunch sprint. We've got Joe back with us. Joe, feelings now as we head round towards the Col de Rimier for the second time?
I'm quite excited because we've seen what it's like. We've seen what that descent is like. We've seen how tricky it is, and we've seen how long and open that run is to the finish. There'll be a lot of riders thinking they can do this. There'll be sprinters thinking, well, what, I can get back on. There'll be climbers thinking, wow, this climb's tougher than what we thought. And there'll be riders that are really strong descenders, like those technical courses, think I need to make the most of that. So
Emma Norsgaard for that Danish champions jersey. Great to see her up towards the front doing the team job. So we said a little bit earlier on, bronze medalist in the under-23 road race championships, has had a strong season. Started it off with a victory in the Setmana Ciclista Valenciana before the world went into lockdown, and then we come back in with a victory straight away out of the blocks in that Danish championship. Heading towards the climb for the second time, it's Team Sunweb on the front, who will run out the winner of this year's La Course by the Tour de France. 96 kilometers, our second lap here. The 5.8 kilometer climb awaits that 5.1% average gradient. Last year, if you went with us, it was Marianne Vos that took it ahead of Leah Kirchmann. Cecilie Uttrup-Ludwig was up there in third on that occasion. Lucinda Brand was fourth. Ashley Moolman, who unfortunately missing from the race this year. Elisa Longo-Borghini was sixth, Annemiek van Vleuten seventh, Soraya Paladin, Anna Santesteban and Anna van der Breggen. That was your top 10. If you're watching La Course for the first time, we started back in 2014. It was Marianne Vos that took it on that occasion. In Paris, Anna van der Breggen followed that up in 2015 with a victory. Then Chloe Hosking the next year, also in Paris, before we moved to 2017 to Briançon, the Col d'Izoard, where it was taken by Annemiek van Vleuten, who then took it in 2018 in Annecy in Le Grand Bonnat. That was one of the most thrilling race finishes for many years, that finish involving Anna van der Breggen and Annemiek van Vleuten. And then last year in Pau, Marianne Vos. So can Marianne Vos do the triple, or can Annemiek van Vleuten do it? That is what we're waiting to see at the end of this one. Looking at how everyone's riding at the moment, Joe, are we going to make our race predictions yet?
Oh, I think it's wide open. Oh, really safe and go Vos.
Okay.
Yeah, I know. I think she's looking good and looking relaxed, and she can do a bit of everything, can't she? She's the world's best all-rounder.
Yeah, she could do it. Yeah, but it's not a too safe a bet. I don't think you're not playing it too safe there, potentially with a Marianne Vos. I think we're going to see a lot of attacks on this climb. I think it will depend how she's recovered from her tumble in Plouay. But looking at Lizzie Deignan, the way Lizzie Deignan was going in Plouay, I think I'm gonna go for Lizzie today.
Yeah, I think that's a strong bet. I think Trek Segafredo have got a really strong team, and I think tactically they're really strong. And they've been in all the right places, all the right times so far today. Lizzie's the local rider, so yeah, no, I think I should have gone for that myself actually. So yeah, good bet there.
So Tanya, job done there today, and it's that learning process as a professional rider. So it's work done, job done, and you work as hard as you can for as long as you can, and then and then lock it down. So there we have. It's great to, as I said, the Trinidad and Tobago now got a representative in here at the top flight of the women's pro peloton. For you can see here, Taylor Wiles and Anna Plichter. They've now taken the pressure off here. The UCI school in Aigle, we see the World Cycling Centre team out on the road quite a bit. As I mentioned, Teniel came through that system last year. It really is opening up opportunities for riders from smaller nations, because Trinidad and Tobago's got quite a heritage and a history in track cycling, but we're seeing riders from Ethiopia and other African countries and Asia, smaller Asian nations as well, that are getting that opportunity now to race at the top flight, get that backup, get that training, get the equipment that maybe some of their federations might not be able to give them.
Yeah, definitely. So I think, if you want to get into the sport of cycling at the highest level, it is going to be easier if you live in a nation where there is that strong history of it, where there is that access to the racing. If you live in the likes of Holland and Belgium, France, there's so many bike races. You're right in the thick of it, and it's easier to do that. If you are from a nation where they haven't got that sort of long tradition, and as I'm saying that, I was just seeing Annemiek van Vleuten on the go.
Annemiek van Vleuten now ups the pressure. Lizzie Deignan straight on her. The chase is coming from CCC Lives. Looks like Soraya Paladin chasing it down. Annemiek van Vleuten right at the bottom of the climb. Elisa Longo-Borghini, it looks like her style, trying to get on, as well as Marianne Vos. So it's van Vleuten from Deignan, Paladin. You've got Kasia Niewiadoma just moving up. Longo-Borghini, Leanne Lippert tries to react. This is Annemiek van Vleuten territory now. Go right from the bottom of the climb. We saw her do this last year in the Giro Rosa.
Yeah, exactly. So, she wants as long as possible uphill to really make everybody else hurt. So she's gone for that. Lizzie Deignan, really quick to react, straight on that wheel. Alyssa Longo-Borghini there as well. We've got two riders from CCC Live, as well as Kasia Niewiadoma and Leanne Lippert, who is our World Tour leader. And there's a few riders just trying to make that junction now, but at the moment, just Annemiek van Vleuten doing the work on the front. No one else giving her a turn, and she's the one that initiated this move. She is the world champion. She's the strongest climber that we've seen in previous races, so she wants to really make her mark here.
She does, and it is van Vleuten from Deignan, Paladin, Longo-Borghini. Then you've got Marianne Vos, Kasia Niewiadoma, Leanne Lippert, Cecilia Trup-Ludwig, Demi Vollering just gets on there, and we've got one jersey from the Equipe Paul Ricard that has just got onto the back of the group. Christine Majerus, after that early breakaway, just now dropped off. Job done here for her, for Paul Dolmans, potentially. I think it's Michaela Harvey on the back for Equipe Paul Ricard. We'll get a closer look, and I'll just double check.
Annemiek van Vleuten still putting the power down here. The usual suspects behind her, and I think I might have seen Cecilia Trup-Ludwig get onto that group.
Yeah, she's on the back, and I think Lauren Stevens is leading that next group on the road. This is what they've got to do. Looking at the way they climbed this the last time, going over the top in a big group, right from the bottom of this one, this is the only way for the likes of Van Vleuten to prevent those sprinters and being in contention.
Yeah, because we've got such a long run, and after that descent, there's so much opportunity for a peloton, for a chase group to chase. You're not getting out of sight, so you've got to make the most of this whole length of this climb. You're going to see Alyssa Longo-Borghini here, obviously in that group as well. So really strong legs today. Kasia Niewiadoma as well. Marianne Vos, my pick. Nice to see a few wheels back on the orange jersey with the rainbow bands on her sleeves. So we've got a lot of the big names in this group.
There's Chloe Hosking. She's in this group here, so just giving herself as much drift room as she could in this one. There's the Biscay Durango, Alicia Maria Arzuffi. For any of you cyclocross fans, there's Alicia Maria Arzuffi, great cyclocross rider, one of the most exciting cyclocross riders in the world is Alicia. Van Vleuten staying on the front here. They're letting her do it. Longo-Borghini just rode alongside her, had a little glance at her, didn't she, on that climb?
Yeah, you want to be able to sort of see the faces of the riders you're racing against, try and get a little bit of insight into how they might be feeling. Often you might not give much away, but if you can, that can tell you a lot.
Niamh Fisher-Black, Erica Magnaudi, Lizzie Banks, Anisanti Esteban, all in this group. This is a strong one, though. Longo-Borghini is on absolutely phenomenal form at the moment. It is Michaela Harvey that's on the back there for the Equipe Paul Ricard. Soraya Paladin, though, not able to follow the pace here. I'm surprised for Paladin here.
Yeah, she was on that group straight away and looking really good. She was on that wheel before Vos got there, but just being distanced now. But Vos climbing really well. It's a real strong group of climbers here. Annemiek van Vleuten, Kasia Niewiadoma, Alyssa Longo-Borghini. So to see the riders with that faster finish, the likes of Deignan, the likes of Vos, they're climbing brilliantly, but they've got hard work to get themselves 2 kilometres to the top of this climb, but then a load more before the actual very top.
It is Annie Santesteban, Erica Magnaudi, Nee Fisher-Black, Chantel Vandenbroek-Black, Lauren Stevens, Lizzie Banks in this group. There's Cecilie Trubb-Ludwig. She's been dropped from the leading group. It's been a busy week for her. Leanne Lippert and Michaela Harvey have both lost contact under the continued pressure of Annemiek van Vleuten. She's just going to grind out this climb, sit on the front, keep the pressure super high, and just try and ride everyone off her wheel here.
Yeah, exactly. I think, you know, she's made her intention clear here by going on the attack. She's not going to get a lot of help from anybody else. Everyone knows that, you know, this is her terrain. She is an incredibly strong climber. She spends time training in Tenerife, up Mount Teide. You know, this is what she wants. This is how she wants to race her bike. So I can't really see anyone offering much assistance at the moment. But it's going to be a tough call for her to ride these riders off her wheel. We've got two riders there from Trek Segafredo. Alyssa Longo-Borghini, we know, is in incredible form. Just sat there nicely, looking quite comfortable at the moment there for Longo-Borghini.
Yeah, Elisa for me, she looks as good as I think I've seen her in her career. She's always been a phenomenal rider, but just these last races, she just looks like she's taken another big leap forward. Back to the front of our group, led by our world champion, that familiar style of Annemiek van Vleuten. Just doesn't leave anything on the road, doesn't leave anything to chance, does she? And she doesn't hide any of her feelings or emotions. She just always shows us how hard she's working.
Exactly, and she's at that stage of her career where she's won everything. You know, she's the current road race world champion. She's been time trial world champion. She's won the Giro. She's won all these huge races, but she's still loving racing her bike. She's 37, nearly 38 years old, and it's brilliant to see for her. I think 13 years as a pro now, just getting better with each season, which is fantastic to see.
It is indeed. There's confirmation of your group. Marianne Vos, Annemiek van Vleuten, Kassian Nieuwiadoma, Lizzie Deignan, Elisa Longo-Borghini and Demi Vollering. That is the makeup of this leading group. 36 seconds is being shown back to our next group on the road. This is what we want, this sort of race now. The world champion, the newly crowned European champion. And I'll just mention again, apologies if you were with us the other day and I repeat myself, but if you want a really good insight and a really good interview into Annemiek van Vleuten, Jose, being a good friend of mine, has done an interview, the rider behind the rainbow stripes, with Annemiek van Vleuten, which is on Cycling Tips. It's a really, really good interview. It's a great insight into Annemiek van Vleuten's thought process and her training. And she now says, you know that she's not struggling, that's not the right word, but she's now, those little increments, though, the progress that she tries to make, those improvements, they're sort of narrowing now, because she took such big leaps. She was with that Rabobank team that was just so strong, wasn't it? You had Marianne Vos. It was such a super team, and it wasn't until she's sort of left that team and found a home within Mitchelton Scott, who really started to believe in her and reinvented herself as a climber. So just check that out. It's a really good insight. Demi Vollering on the back here, Park Hotel Valkenburg, doing a great ride to stay with this group, just rides on to the back as Annemiek van Vleuten just keeps the pressure on here. Longo-Borghini and Deignan looking strong, sitting second and third wheel here. Michaela Harvey, Leanne Lippert are your two chasers. And then is that Paulina Royacres that we've got on the front, I think, of that next group?
Yeah, so for CC, Marianne Vos's teammate there, there's a couple of them in that group, just sort of getting themselves up this climb, picking up the riders ahead of them. You know, they're not chasing the group, but they're just trying to sort of get themselves over in as best a shape they can. Leanne Lippert there, just a little quick look over her shoulder to see where that next group is. Demi Vollering climbing extremely well in that front group, just hanging on the back. But it's the two Trek Segafredo riders that are the dangerous ones to me.
Yeah, they're looking good. Elisa Longo-Borghini not showing any effect from being in that breakaway. We wouldn't expect anything else. So going through this Queen in the Mountains point, that's the summit of that one, but we keep climbing And this is where it starts to hurt, doesn't it, Joe? After that Queen of the Mountains point, you almost breathe that sigh of relief that you're at that point, but we have got plenty of climbing still to go here.
Oh, I think it hurts more once you go over the Queen of the Mountain point and know you are still going up, but this isn't the categorised climb, but you're very much still going uphill. Psychologically, that can be a little bit tougher, but they've already done this climb once. They know exactly what they've got to deal with. Annemiek van Vleuten will be pacing herself up here, knowing what she can do, but determined to get rid of those riders behind her. But like I said, the two Trek Segafredo riders, very dangerous, having the two of them teammates. Alyssa Longo-Borghini, we know, in brilliant form. Lizzie Deignan, a brilliant sprinter as well. So, you know, Annemiek van Vleuten's got her work cut out to try and get rid of at least one of them. So there's not two of them to work against her.
Cecily, so that's chasing group. Cecily Uttrup Ludwig, the rider on the back. Niamh Fisher-Black is in there. Michaela Harvey. Chantal van den Broek-Black is doing an amazing ride to be in that chasing group. I think we've also got Soraya Paladin and Paulina Roy-Akers are also in there. Lizzie Banks it is that's in there. Michaela Harvey, looks like she's unshipped her chain. You've also got Erica Magnaldi just grabbing a gel out of her pocket. You've got Ana Santesteban in that red and blue jersey with the Spanish champion stripes. Lauren Stevens, Elena Amelia Suk is also in this chasing group. So I think that's everyone in that one. As Van Vleuten not looking for any assistance at all here at the moment, Joe.
No, well, I wouldn't be giving her any. If I were in that group, I think, you know what, you're the one in the rainbow stripes. You know, we know how strong a climber you are. If you want to be away like this, then, you know, that's fine. You know, other teams have all got sprinters in their group. You know, they don't have to have this breakaway. So, yeah, I don't think I would be giving her a turn at this stage. I think I would just be sat on that wheel and thinking, well, you know, let's see what you've got.
It's a lonely place sometimes, isn't it, with that rainbow jersey on your back?
Yeah, absolutely. So, you know, everyone knows how much incredible form she's in. They saw her in the European Championship road race just on Thursday, which probably slightly less expected than her other wins she's had this year. So, yeah, very much the pressure's on her shoulders, and I think that can be difficult as a sports person when the pressure is on you. You're the one with those stripes on, and anything less than a win can be seen as a failure by other people watching, which can be tough. You know, you can have a brilliant result in a race, but when you are that champion, people will say, "Oh, but she hasn't won." So always extra pressure when you've got those stripes on. But Annemiek van Vleuten really rising to the challenge here.
Indeed, Lauren Stevens just on the back of that group. Back up to our leaders, Vos, Van Vleuten, Nieuwiadoma, Deignan, Longo-Borghini and Vollering is the makeup of your group. And we're heading towards a minute worth of time gap. Demi Vollering, again, another great ride that she is making today on the back here for the Park Hotel of Valkenburg team. A rider that with every race that she gets more and more responsibility, really stepping up is the Dutch rider that's on the back of the group. Santesteban as on the front of this one as Magnaldi, the climber, comes up, starts to attack on the descent. Leanne Lippert reacts as Lizzie Banks is in there. Michaela Harvey did a great ride, the New Zealander, to try and stay with this group. Cecily Uttrup Ludwig right on the back, just with Chantal van den Broek-Black just ahead of her. If they manage to keep themselves in contention here, the rider from Bull Dolmans that's in there, just second from the back, she's a dangerous rider to have in this one.
Definitely. So previous World Road Race champion, fast finisher. We have got such a long run-in before that finish line. So if this second group can sort of limit their losses on this climb and descend well, very much still within chance of getting back on. So Annemiek van Vleuten has got her work cut out here, really on her own, as we're seeing. No one is giving a turn at all. If she wants to win this bike race, you know, she's got to make the difference here, because it's just going to play into everyone else's hands once we get onto that run into the finish.
Yeah, she just wants to keep this pace up. That's what she's doing. Everyone just sat on the wheel on the climb, letting her set the pace. Elisa Longo-Borghini with Lizzie Deignan, the teammate right behind it. So strength in numbers you'd say it could really advantage them. Let's run you through this group. It's Lippert on the front. 3 riders in here for a keep Paula Carr. I don't think I've missed anyone so far. So we've got Harvey, Lippert, Santesteban, Fisher Black, Uttrup Ludwig, Magnaudi, Amelia Suk, Roy Ackers, Banks, Black and Stevens. That is who I make in this chasing group. We've got another group not far behind as well, Joe.
Yeah, exactly. So very much race still on. You know, we saw on that first lap how much opportunity you've got to bring it back together. The descent is technical. You know, we could see more gaps open up on the descent, but we've got such a long, wide open run-in that if you can work well together, a lot of gaps can be closed there. So the riders in the best position, I think, are the riders in this group that aren't working at the moment. So the likes of Vos, she's got teammates not far behind. She doesn't have to do any work here at all. All she's got to do is follow those wheels. I say all she's got to do. That is a hard job when it's Annemiek van Vleuten on the front. So, yeah, rather her than me at the moment. But these riders are in a great position because they're not doing the work at the moment. They've got Van Vleuten setting the pace. They're in the best position to get down that descent safely. And then if the race does come back together, they've not had to work quite as hard.
You can see the Valcard jerseys on the front of that next group. Liane Lippert driving this one forward. The leader of the World Tours is exactly what she's got to do. She's got designs on carrying off this season-long competition. So the late BTC, this is Urska Ziegart. That's just on the back. So just fresh from winning the national time trial title. They keep Paula Carr. Michaela Harvey here did a great job to try and get in that group. Just not quite didn't quite have the legs to stay with it. But she's just 21 years old. Is Michaela Harvey. That will come with time, though, won't it, Joe? Even as a young rider, if on a race like this, on a day like this, when Annemiek van Vleuten goes, even if you can start to get on and ride within it for a couple of kilometers, a few kilometers each race, each effort that you make like that, that's how you just get stronger and stronger with it with every single ride.
Yeah, so physically stronger, but also just that sort of that extra motivation, that extra boost, that confidence that you get from being in those positions in races is, you know, going to pay huge dividends, because I think, you know, cycling's as much a mental game as it is a physical game. And if you can put yourselves in those moves, follow those riders, you know, that's going to help so much. And I think the sport of cycling is interesting at the moment because we're seeing a lot of young riders really sort of come to the fore and win at a very young age. But then in women's cycling, we're also seeing a lot of riders that are a lot older and sort of really winning, you know, sort of mid to late 30s. So I think women's cycling is very different to men's cycling, that you do get riders coming to the sport at different stages and sort of maturing later. And, you know, you get thrown straight into that elite category once you're at the juniors, and it can take a long time to really sort of get your confidence and get comfortable in that peloton.
Lizzie Banks flicks the elbow to the teammate. The chasing group now has got on to this, the third group on the road's got on to this second group. That will give us some more teams and some more strength in numbers. The gap now, though, over a minute to our group, our who's who, you would say. There's a few riders, I think, looking at the Lizzie Banks and some other riders, just that sort of accumulative fatigue, I think, perhaps, as well, this week.
Yeah, it's been a busy week of racing. So Lizzie Banks also rode the European Time Trial Championships for Great Britain. Good ride there for her. GP Plouay, European Championships road race. So, you know, we've had a lot of this year without any racing, and now it all is already packed in. And, you know, you want to make the most of that. You know, you want to get race fit. You want to ride these bike races. You want to make the most of the rest of the season. And you can't, I guess you can't really afford to skip many races thinking, you know what, I'm going to save myself for next week's race, because there is so much uncertainty at the moment with a global pandemic still very much going on that you never quite know when a race is going to be cancelled. You know, road worlds are still up in the air, still not 100% confirmed a new location for those. So I think, you know, when you've got the opportunity to race, you've got to grab it with both hands and go for it.
I think that's sort of echoes what Annemiek was saying in her post-race interview after the Europeans, and you could see just driving driving along here on that big chain ring. And there's going to be a point where she decides to look around, starts trying to get that group behind to work. The rider right on her wheel, who affectionately nicknamed her the Alien last year, didn't she, after in the Giro Rosa, and Annemiek took it in the way that Annemiek would take it, and took it in really great humour. Because I think as a rider, as a champion, if your peers are giving you your nicknames, it's not like many riders that we've seen over the years that come in and give themselves a nickname.
Yeah, no, exactly. I think there's a huge amount of respect among other pro riders for Annemiek van Vleuten. Not everyone might necessarily agree with her opinions on everything, but she is well respected. She works incredibly hard. She's very open about the training that she does. You know, she goes to altitude. She's got all these opportunities and she takes them, and it's like I say, she's well liked and respected for being just how good she is. And I think a lot of people spend a lot of time wondering how are they going to beat her, because just seem to get better and better each year. I know it can be difficult to get those gains season upon season. You know, when you get to that level, the gains come a lot smaller gains. But I think from her competitor's point of view, you know, it's supreme champion.
I think looking around the group, and in particular, I said it a little bit earlier on, Elisa Longo-Borghini is one rider who, from last year to this year, definitely looks like she's managed to step up again.
Yeah, and I think a lot. It's quite interesting because we've not to manage their training well, been able to keep motivated. Obviously, a huge difference across countries over what the restrictions were. You know, some were able to train outside, some were stuck on indoor trainers. And for a lot of people, that can be really tough, like mentally can be really tough, mentally difficult to maintain that motivation. So I think a lot of the riders we're seeing perform well at the moment are the ones that know how to train, know how to get the best out of themselves when they haven't got those bike races. Because that's the easiest way to get form. The easiest way is to keep racing your bike and, you know, the training sort of sorted out for you. You know, you sort of keep ticking over in between. But we've had a huge gap where it really has tested the motivation for a lot of people.
The rider in there wearing number 1. When we do our research, when we come into commentary and you look around, you look at some riders, and I know we do like our stats, but when you try and add up what Marianne Vos has won in her career, and you were looking at various different things. So at the moment, 228 victories we can find on the road alone. So this could be number 229 on the road, but across all disciplines, I'm finding about 411 different victories that rider there wearing number 1 has had across cyclocross, road, track, mountain bike, everything. Imagine crossing the line 411 times in your career, and at different levels as well. So that's what I've managed to find. So many amazing accolades that she's won in her career. Let's have a look around this group. Elisa Balsamo in that pink jersey of Valcart is in there. Looks like Marta Cavalli there in the pink jersey as well from the Valcart team. Lotte Kopecky doing a good ride again today. The Lotto Soudal rider, Sandra Levenet, still in there in that red jersey for Arkea. Hannah Barnes is in there for Canada. I say that with surprise, actually. I shouldn't. Hannah Barnes, great all-rounder is Hannah Barnes. This is a great course for the British rider. So Canyon SRAM, they've got Kasia Niewiadoma in this leading group. Good representation in that chasing group in with the likes of Hannah Barnes. And Elena Emiliusuk was the other rider that we saw a little bit earlier on. But a great shot here of the climb ahead. At the moment, Joe, potentially the group look like they've got the measure of Van Vleuten on this climb at least. What can she do from here?
I know. Tough situation for Van Vleuten because no one is going to work with her. You know, she's played her cards, she showed what her tactic is, and yeah, I don't think I would be coming through if I were in that position. As a viewer now, I'd love them to come through and help her out, but I think if I were in that position in the bike race, I don't think I'd be giving her a turn. So yeah, limited options now.
That chases Annemiek van Vleuten, the world champion, is on the front. We are heading towards the summit of this second ascent of the Col du Remier. We will head back down towards Nice. We've got that 30-kilometer run in towards the finish. Your leading group: Van Vleuten, Longa Borghini, Duignan, Nieuwiadoma, Vos and Vollering. The rider on the back here for Park Hotel Valkenburg is doing a phenomenal ride again to stay with this one. Erika Magnaudi and Leanne Lippert are attacking out of that group. Elisa Balsamo, Chantal Vandenbroek Black, and looks like Leah Kirschman for Team Sunweb just gets in to the wheel. But 1:14, the group's going to have to help soon, aren't they, Jo?
Yeah, exactly.
Now makes a move.
Ooh.
Lizzie Deignan jumps over the top, makes a move. Nieuwiadoma, is Annemiek van Vleuten in trouble? Vos goes with a little bit of a gap. It's not a lot. Annemiek van Vleuten gets on. We start the descent back down towards Nice, a very select leading group at the head of the race. Lizzie Deignan over the top there, made that move. Van Vleuten just took a moment there to react. Let's have a look back at that one. And Annemiek van Vleuten, there she was. She looked across, she swung over. Deignan, as soon as she swung off, made a move for Trek Segafredo. Nieuwiadoma and Vos straight on her. They left the world champion on the front to do the work. Now she just drops onto the back as Lizzie Deignan leads on the descent. If we think back the last time, Cassia Nieuwiadoma was the rider that really threw herself down this descent. Elisa Longa Borghini comes through to the front. This is where they've got to make the difference if they're going to stay away from that chasing group behind, this select group at the head of the race. The winner will want to come from this one. Marianne Vos, twice a winner. Annemiek van Vleuten, twice a winner of La Course. Longa Borghini and Nieuwiadoma, both riders in that breakaway group on the previous lap. As we go back to the chasers, and it's Leah Kirschman on the front with Elisa Balsamo right on the wheel, and that jersey, the purple jersey of the Women's World Tour leader, Leanne Lippert, comes up towards the front. They did exactly what they needed to do there, Joe, wasn't it? Just leave Van Vleuten on the front, try and wear herself out, and then straight over the top there, Lizzie Deignan comes through.
Yeah, exactly. So perfect sort of tactics there from Trek Segafredo. Two riders in this group, left Van Vleuten on the front, made that move.
On the descent, I think we've momentarily lost Joe there. My apologies. So on the descent, Longa Borghini and Deignan here. So two options here for Trek Segafredo. Back to your chasers. Rider from Canada on the front, Leah Kirschman, Elisa Balsamo for Valcon on the wheel. Paulina Royackers is still there. Lizzie Banks for Equipe Paula Carr. So good representatives in here. It's Team Sunweb that have missed this one. So if they want to bring it back under control, they're going to have to be one of the teams to do the work, along with the likes of Valcar Travel and Service. 1:23 though, this gap is going up. Nieuwiadoma through to the front. Great descender, as is Marianne Vos. Lizzie Deignan can as well. Demi Vollering doing exactly the right thing here as they hit the hairpins. Demi Vollering right on the back for Park Hotel Valkenburg. This is another big ride from the Dutch rider from that team. But she's got to be careful on this descent that she doesn't lay off too much and leave herself too much work to do after all that effort on the climb. We're on the descent, and it's Team Sunweb's Leah Kirschman that's doing the chasing. Valcar's Elisa Balsamo right on the wheel. 1:23 is the time gap up to our leading group. We're heading back in towards Nice here for the 7th edition of La Course by Le Tour de France, starting and finishing in Nice today. 96 kilometers, 2 laps of this 47.5 kilometer circuit. If you're tuning in today for the first time, welcome aboard your leading group. Cassia Nuviadoma on the front for Canyon SRAM, for Trek Segafredo, Elisa Longoborghini and Lizzie Deignan. For CCC Live, Marianne Vos. For Mitchelton Scott, the world champion, Annemiek van Vleuten. And on the back of the group, it's Demi Vollering in that white jersey with the pink and green chevrons from Park Hotel Valkenburg. It's a really select group. Van Vleuten and Vos both looking to do the triple here in La Course. And the other riders in the group looking to put their names on the roll call of honour for the first time, as Nuviadoma really launches herself down the descent. Sarah Tizet WNT have got the representation in this chasing group. So plenty of teams represented at the front. So on the descent, it's going to be, it seems the likes of Sunweb going to have to potentially sacrifice more riders in this chase. But it's a great shot from the motorbike at the front, isn't it, from the descent? And again, it's the Polish rider Cassia Nuviadoma that's doing a great job on this descent, just gapping everyone behind her. Joe, I think today Cassia Nuviadoma's descending. It's great to watch, isn't it? Someone just so in touch, so at one with the bike.
Yeah, it's been brilliant to watch. So first lap, you know, she's the one that ended up making that group go away because she was descending so well. It was Anna Henderson and just a few others that could stay with her. And now she's doing the same again. Annemiek van Vleuten at the back here, just
I think we've lost Joe again. Apologies. Back to our chasers. So this group, they've got a lot of work to do if they can get back on here. So just to let you know as well, of course, so Joe and I are actually remote from each other, so we're not in the same commentary box. So we're doing going backwards and forwards here. So we're both in different locations, just to let you know, as currently in the world. Just running a little bit wide on that corner. Is that Lizzie Deignan that's just run a little bit wide there, or was it Elisa Longoborghini? I think it was Elisa Longoborghini on that descent. Just ran a little bit wide on that hairpin. Van Vleuten just comes through on the inside there. Just trying to stay with the power, the speed of Cassia Nuviadoma on this descent. Vos and Deignan have just got a little bit of a gap here on this descent, but it's not too much in descending terms. You always want to give yourself a little bit of room if you can, just to be able to react, but they don't want to drop too far off the back of the group. Interesting watching this group on the descent. Vollering, Van Vleuten and Longoborghini here. Just a few meters as we go through that 25k to go point.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a gap there. I think I would have had down sort of Vos and Deignan as two super strong descenders, so I'm not surprised that they're right up there with Cassia Nuviadoma. So a bit of a gap there. I mean, the back can come back together on the flat. It depends how much they really try and take the opportunity to capitalise on that. But I'm more interested in these groups behind. You know, what can they do? What do we get with this descent? A minute 20. It's not doable if you work hard together.
Yeah, this could definitely go, this is the who's who, you would say, out of this one. Van Vleuten working hard to try and get back on to the group. Vollering and Longoborghini, as I said it previously this week, I'm really enjoying watching over the last couple of seasons Demi Vollering and the process and the progress that she is making. She's 23 years old, is the Dutch rider, just hanging off here of Annemiek van Vleuten, the Park Hotel Valkenburg rider. Won the Giro dell'Emilia last year, which was the race that Cecilie Uttrup Ludwig won won this year. Started the year well, did Vollering, was third in the general classification down in the Setmana Ciclista Valenciana down in Spain. So podium in that one. Second last year in the festival Elsie Jacobs in Luxembourg. Is a good strong stage race. The Elsie Jacobs, she took a stage victory in that race as well. So if you follow the women's pro peloton, that Elsie Jacobs stage, hopefully as we get back to hopefully what we see as some sort of normal calendar next year, hopefully you'll keep an eye out for races like Elsie Jacobs in Luxembourg. It's got a race that carries a lot of prestige. Third in Liège-Bastogne-Liège last year, and fifth in Flèche Wallonne as well, this rider on the back. So a huge, a real growing talent is Demi Vollering.
Yeah, definitely. You know, a brilliant opportunity to showcase herself here at La Course, you know, getting in this group. Annemiek van Vleuten climbing as hard as she could up that climb, you know, desperately trying to distance everybody, but you know, distancing a few people, but not managing to go to Demi Vollering there. So absolutely brilliant. It should be a huge confidence boost for her to be able to hold those wheels on that climb. Now, she's in this select group of 6. We're nearly coming off the worst of this descent, and then they can get back together and we'll see what work they can do and if they can stay away.
I think for Parker-Tel Valkenburg as well, the watching how Demi Vollering is stepping up, because of course they had Lorena Wiebes and they had this she wanted to leave the team and has now moved across to Team Somewhere, but it looks that they, as a team owner, you breathe a sigh of relief. But when you see your rider like this stepping up at the highest level, there's that huge, almost a sigh of relief, but knowledge that the talent that you've got within the team, and Parker-Tel Valkenburg have always been a team of talent development, and it must be really satisfying for them to sit here and watch Demi Vollering riding like this.
Yeah, definitely. And I think how you perform on the bike, you know, if you're happy in your team, can make such a huge difference. You know, you can do all the right training, you can do all the other things right off the bike as well. But if you go into a team environment where you're not happy and you don't feel supported, then, you know, that can, you know, it can ruin everything come race day. So for Demi Vollering, performing well here, and yeah, like you say, it's brilliant for her team. And it's brilliant to see, you know, their investment in developing people really paying off.
Marianne Vos looks comfortable, doesn't she? You can just, it's that look on the face, isn't it? I think Lizzie Deignan's also got that look. She had it in Plouay. Again, it's just that the sort of razor sharp focus, looking straight ahead. But Marianne here, she's got that determined look on the face.
Yeah, definitely. So our 2 picks there looking quite good. So I'm quite pleased about that. Yeah, Vos, and then just on the front here now, just pulling over in front of Deignan as they begin this long stretch. So 21.5 kilometres to go. You know, it will go by quite quickly. A minute and a half to the chase group. So they've got some serious work to do if they want to try and bring that back. But it will get to the point where we'll start thinking about this group. Are people going to start missing turns? And, you know, are we going to see any attacks? Because, you know, the stronger climbers in here, you know, possibly aren't going to win in a sprint. You know, in a sprint, you are looking at Vos versus Deignan, really, in my opinion. So everyone else has got something to do, except for Longo Borghini, who's obviously Deignan's teammate. So she's okay either way. She can attack or she can lead her out for the sprint.
You can see our group holding the train here. There might be a steward's inquiry at the end of this one. They're saying we got the shelter from the crosswind from the train that we were managing to just hold the speed against.
Yeah, brilliant to see that. I like it.
Longo Borghini swings off the front, got a good sprint on her as well. We would say at this, Vos and, as we said, Vos and Deignan are, we would probably say the 2 fastest. You know, Dan Lloyd's not going to let us back in GCN Towers ever again if we predict first. If we go first and second in this one, we'll never be allowed. Yeah. We'll never be allowed back there.
Yeah, but it's looking good at the moment. I mean, you've got to have the likes of, you know, Nieuwedoma or Van Vleuten attack this group if they want to win realistically, because those 2 are the fastest 2 sprinters, and then that's interesting in itself. I mean, is Vos here thinking, you know what, I can win this sprint, or is she thinking Lizzie could be dangerous? Is Lizzie thinking, you know, I can have Vos, or does she need to think about trying to make a move here? So all sorts of psychology going on, and we just dip under that 20k to go mark.
Indeed. Back to the chasing group, and we have Liane Lippert on the front. We've got the team of Valkar, I think Marta Cavalli. Then we've got FDJ, Cecilie Uttrup Ludwig. Emilia Farlien is the rider there, just talking into the radio for FDJ in the centre of the picture. They've managed to chop the lead down a little bit. It's just hovering just over a minute now, so they are managing to do some damage.
Yeah, it'll be good to get an official time check on that, because it did drop down to 40 seconds on that graphic, which is now gone. But we'll see exactly what that gap is in a minute. But you know, still all to play for if they are sort of keeping it under control. This group can't quite fully relax yet.
They can't. Marianne Vos on the front. We're heading back down towards Nice. We are inside 20 kilometers to go here in La Course by Le Tour de France. We have the big names of world cycling in this group. Who is going to run out the winner? The gap sitting at 1 minute and 35 seconds. One minute and 35. That looked a little bit more. That was more realistic, because just on that long straight road, you can normally see about a minute down the road, can't you? If the group's in sight within a minute, you normally can see them on a long straight road like that, and we didn't have a glimpse of them.
Yeah, I think if they're out of sight for the chase group, it's going to be really hard to try and bring that back. You know, if you are in sight on that long road, that gives you such a boost. It gives you that motivator, it gives you that carrot to chase. But if they can't see them, if we've got a 1 minute 36 gap, then yeah, they are going to be out of sight. So it would take some serious work from the group behind. You can see Van Vleuten here just giving the signal, asking people to keep working. You know, it's not a foregone conclusion that they're going to win. She's not feeling relaxed whatsoever. And obviously for her as well, she wants the group to ride hard, because if she's going to attack and try and get away and try and win solo, that's not going to work if they've been sort of soft tapping through and they're all fresh. So she wants everyone to keep working hard. And you can see the same there from Balsamo for Valkar, trying to get everyone to work in that chase group as well.
Yeah, that's the if you're new to cycling, that's the universal signal for we need to work here. But you'll get that when you're in the breakaway, and when Annemiek van Vleuten asks you to work, you generally want to. Let's have a glance down our chase. There's Lauren Stevens there in the blue of Tibco. Well, so she's in this group. Lippert's doing a lot of work here. Liane Lippert for the World Tour, Joe. Just got to try and keep herself up here and try and just keep scoring points in every round.
Yeah, exactly. So it's Lizzie Deignan who's in second overall in that competition. So, you know, she got the win today. That could put her into that leader's jersey. So for Liane Lippert, she'd love this group to come back together. But if it doesn't, she needs to be right in the head of that sprint for a sprint for 7th place to try and sort of limit her losses, really, for the overall series.
Deignan is sat here in third wheel. Longo Borghini. Look at the pressure on the front here for the Trek Segafredo rider. Niewiadoma on the back. Cassia's looking comfortable today. I'm super impressed at her descending, but you can, again, when you look in the face of Cassia Niewiadoma, she's definitely starting to find the race legs.
Yeah, definitely. And I think with this run, it's going to be difficult for her. You know, if she wants to win, she's going to need to get away from these faster finishers. But we've not really got any real launch pads here to make an attack. You know, if you want to get away from this group, you need to have a really good jump on you to sort of be able to jump away and get a gap. So for the likes of riders like, you know, for Vos and Deignan, they've got that sort of jump, but it's going to be hard for the rest of them to really sort of try and attack this group. I say that now, so we'll see if anyone does manage it.
Indeed. 1:43 is our gap. Inside 20 kilometres to go as Lizzie Deignan comes in to focus, flicks the elbow. You can see the current world champion and two former world road champions in this group in Marianne Vos and Lizzie Deignan, along with Annemiek van Vleuten. Your leading group, if you're joining us for the first time today, Demi Vollering also in here for the Park-Hotel Valkenburg team. Elisa Longo-Borghini, just second from the back here, wearing 61. That's Lizzie, my apologies. Lisa Longo-Borghini on the front. And Kasia Niewiadoma here for Canyon SRAM is the rider on the back. So plenty of teams represented in this one. 1 minute and 43 is your time gap, and you can see your speed sitting, Joe, at just 50 kilometers an hour here.
Yeah, well, we're looking at less than 20 minutes of racing to go, just 15 kilometres. And this group are working hard, but, you know, the time gap is still gradually going up. It was about 1.5 minutes before, 1:36. Now it's 1:42. So I think it's too much now to really make that difference. They are working well. You know, Van Vleuten's made sure of that. You know, she's made sure people are putting their turns now. So a bit too much to do for this group behind, unfortunately, I think.
There's Hannah Barnes with the red, white and blue stripes and that Canyon SRAM jersey. It's Niamh Fisher-Black, the champion of New Zealand. 20 years old, young rider from New Zealand. Good to see her in here. Has had a good start to the year. One of the most sort of famous, sort of epic races apparently on that part of the world, the Gravel and Tar race, which apparently is up there with Strade Bianche. So she had a good start to the year, winning that one. So another famous race down there.
Yeah, so brilliant for her to sort of take that opportunity and then, you know, be showing herself so well for her team this week. You know, she's had some brilliant rides recently, and she's a rider that a lot of people have been talking about.
So 1:40 at this point. The gap is holding fast. That group behind, they're going to have to seriously motor to bring this back at 1 minute and 40 with 14.5 kilometers to go. There's going to have to be a serious investment from multiple teams working hard on the front. It's that situation, isn't it, that you can't think, okay, I need to save something in case this comes down to a sprint. It's that chasing group behind. It's got to be all in. The power and the sheer strength of this leading group.
Yeah, exactly. You know, they've got like you say, two former world road race champions, the current world road race champion. She's also the former time trial world champion, Annemiek van Vleuten. It is, you know, a supremely strong group. But you've got these two riders from Trek Segafredo, and I'm wondering at what point other riders will stop working with them. Because if I were in this group, I'd be thinking, right, there's two of you from Trek Segafredo. You've got a really strong sprinter in Lizzie Deignan. Do I really want to contribute to that, or do I want to save my legs?
Kasia Niewiadoma there was just tightening her shoes. I think we're going to get an attack soon from Kasia. Just looked like she was potentially skipping a little turn on the back there as well. So I think it's not going to be long before Kasia decides to go. She's not going to want to take this down to a sprint. She just sat on the back here. So we just before we panned away, little tighten of the shoes, and I think we're going to see a move soon.
Yeah, so I think we're seeing a lot of work here from Longo-Borghini. It's Lizzie Deignan on the second wheel that we saw in that shot just then. So I think we're sort of seeing Trek Segafredo trying to save Lizzie Deignan a little bit for this sprint. We're seeing some shots of Marianne Vos, who is of course another supremely strong sprinter. But yeah, I'd be getting slightly nervous now about working too hard with the Trek Segafredo girls. You know, we're 13 kilometres to go. You've got a 1:41 gap. We're just seeing Lizzie Deignan come through now. But it's a huge lead, and I'd be thinking now about when I'm going to make a move.
It's good to see that Lizzie's recovered after taking that tumble in the European Championships as well. So went down in that one. Clearly recovered, back on form. Back to your chasers, and it's still Valcott, FDJ, and Sarah Tizet WNT that are chasing in that group behind. Somewhere we've got to do something as well. You can just see the chat going on between Leah Kirchmann and Leanne Lippert. A little bit further down the group, Oma Shapira in the white jersey there, champion of Israel. And Hannah Barnes just hanging out down the back of the group for Canyon SRAM. So they've put Kasia Niewiadoma in to this group. As we get into the next races, the Giro Rosa and into the classics that we have to come this season. See if Cassia can potentially defend that Amstel Gold title. Nice close-up here of Marianne Vos, just almost having a little chat to herself there, Joe.
Yeah, so obviously extremely experienced rider, knows how to win a bike race, knows all her competitors really well. So I'm really looking to her, and I'm feeling a bit more confident about my bet now for Vos as a potential winner of this. So it's going to take a serious effort from anybody else to really try and break away from this group. The roads don't favour you getting away. You know, you want the roads to be twisty. You want to be able to get out of sight. You want a little launch pad to launch an attack from. But you really, you know, you can see a long way ahead here. So it's going to be really tough to try and attack this group.
Demi Vollering here, great close-up shot of the Park Hotel Valkenburg rider. Was put in some good rides in Plouay earlier on in the week. Cassia Niewiadoma just sat on the back here, just trying to let the legs recover. Keeps having a little feed here and there, just grabbing a drink, grabbing a gel. So 11.6 kilometers to go. We're heading towards the final 10K of the race today. Glad that we were able to have La Course. It was supposed to be on the final day of the originally scheduled Tour de France in Paris, but we moved it to Nice and found a new date. And it's been a good race so far, isn't it? It's been a good circuit.
Yeah, definitely. It's a race that always sort of causes a lot of questions to be asked. There's always people that aren't happy with either the route or the distance, or you know, the fact that it's just the one day. But I think in the moment we need to sort of enjoy the spectacle that we're getting to see. You know, we've had a brilliant race. We're seeing all these big names up here, and you know, we've still got, you know, by no means a foregone conclusion who's going to win this race, so quite wide open. See Annemiek van Vleuten just having a little quick look there at Marianne Vos, just seeing how she's looking. But also I think it's good that we've got this at the start of the Tour de France, because you know, you don't know what's going to happen in 3 weeks' time worldwide. So getting a bike race in at the start, thankfully.
Yeah, definitely. And there is word as well. There's sort of talk that we might start to get a multi-day women's Tour de France to come in years to come. There's been talk for a while. We had La Course. It started. We have had 2-day La Course, but they dropped back down to 1 day. The women's Tour de France used to be the curtain raiser for the men's Tour de France back in the 80s, sort of 1984 to 1989. We had the women's Tour de France. I remember chatting to Linda Kay and Sue Gornall that rode those early Tour de France's, and they were just teenagers on the first ones going in to ride them. So hopefully we're going to get that multi-day tour to come, and maybe not next year, maybe the year after. It would be good for the sport, wouldn't it, that we get that multi-day event. The organisers are saying that it would be not logistically possible for them now to organise it at the same time as the men's tour. Do you think that's important if we do get that, or do you think it can stand alone?
I think it can stand alone. I think that the Tour de France as a brand is what's the most powerful thing, and I think you know, that in itself attracts audiences. You know, in various walks of life, when I tell people I was a former professional cyclist, the question I always get asked is, "Oh, did you ride the Tour de France?" And I say, "No, it's that's a men's only event, and there isn't a women's equivalent, unfortunately." So it's just something that everyone, even you know, not cycling fans, understand. So I think the brand in itself is enough to be a huge profile raiser for the sport.
Back to our leaders. So Lizzie Deignan just talking into the radio. 1:41 is the gap, 9.4. So this group riding comfortably together. There's confirmation. Marianne Vos, Annemiek van Vleuten, Cassia Niewiadoma, Lizzie Deignan, Elisa Longo-Borghini and Demi Vollering. It looks like our winner of La Course is going to come from this leading group. They really are working nicely together now. This group, the chasers, haven't managed to put a dent into that time gap against the power that they have in this front group. You can see the work being done still by the Valcar Travel and Service team. I've been impressed by this team today. They is looking at how, again, at team development. Each year they seem to be getting stronger, gelling more as a team, working much better together.
Yeah, definitely. So they've been putting riders at the front together when they want riders to work. I think Alyssa Balsamo is probably their team leader. So she won the European Under-23 Championships road race just a few days ago. Previous Junior World Road Race champion as well. So, you know, fair play to her team for getting themselves up the front, getting themselves doing the work when it needs to be done. But at the moment, I think from that whole group, just not quite the firepower that you really need to be able to close the group, to close the gap to this group at the front, which is, you know, supremely strong.
Contrast in faces there between Annemiek van Vleuten and Demi Vollering.
Yeah, Demi Vollering working really hard there, but yeah, what a fantastic ride by her to hold the likes of Annemiek van Vleuten up that climb. So yeah, riding really, really well, but yeah, you can see the effort in her face, but you can then contrast that to the likes of Vos, just looking around, just seeing how everyone else is feeling.
Well, so when Annemiek van Vleuten attacked in the Europeans, her and Marianne Vos, they kind of attacked at the same time. It was an interesting move on the climb, both riding for that really strong Dutch team. Vos looking as we expect from Marianne Vos. Now Longo Borghini comes through, so over the top, carries that power over the top of Demi Vollering. Vollering just starting to look a little bit fatigued here in this leading group.
Yeah, those bridges can really hurt the legs. If you're suffering already, that is going to really sting. So, you know, not a huge bridge there, but could have been a potential launch pad for anyone trying to make a move, but no one's taken that opportunity there. And still, I think we've still got Alyssa Longo Borghini on the front doing the work.
Vollering was just losing a bit of a gap there at the back. I think she's got back on as we went through the tree. She has. Kasia Niewiadoma, for me, Joe, she's been sat there for quite a while, the Canyon SRAM rider. Yeah,
she has, and I'm interested to think what her team tactics are, because I don't think, you know, I wouldn't put her down as winning the sprint from this group. So, you really need to see her be trying to make a move here. But this terrain doesn't really lend itself to someone being able to get away on their own, because it is so open, because you can see for so long. But you're right, she has sat there, she has been biding her time. Either way, she's saving her legs for something.
Is it slightly frowned upon to be in the leading group like this in towards the finish and be just sat on the back?
The thing is, she's already been in that early breakaway, and she was incredibly strong on that descent, so it's not like she's not contributed at all. And, you know, if other riders have got a problem with that, they can say that to her. They can say to her, come through, do your turn. And currently they're not demanding that of her. So, you know what, it's bike racing, and people do these things, and you need to take your opportunities when you've got them. And so far, I think that all eyes have really been on the Trek Segafredo squad, because they've got the two riders. I think I think all riders' eyes are really on them, seeing what they can do.
She would also say, I put the descent in. I took you all the way down the descent as well, didn't she? So again, it was that speed
exactly.
on that descent that took them away.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I think she's done her bit in that sense. I don't think anyone can really argue too much with her. And like I said, they're not arguing with her. No one's having a word with her at the moment. And it is Longo Borghini who, on the front there, she's been doing the majority of the work. Other riders have been coming through. Vos coming through now, but I really think Dijkman has been sat on a bit more. Longo Borghini doing a little bit more work. Demi Vollering still trying to go through as well. You can see the effort on her face. I think no one would have frowned upon her having a little bit of a sit on, but she is making the effort to keep going through there. You can see just losing the wheel slightly to Vos.
Elisa Longo Borghini ups the pressure. You can see as Demi Vollering is in a world of pain for Park-Hotel Valkenburg, still trying to contribute to the workload in this group. We head past Nice Airport, we head in towards the finish, and this is setting up nicely for a group sprint. Out of this one, will it be? Everything points to Marianne Vos taking the hat-trick in La Course, but Annemiek van Vleuten proved in the European Championships that she can pull off a surprise win when she took that title ahead of Elisa Longo Borghini in this. And 1 minute and 45 seconds is your gap from these leaders to the chasing group behind. And it's Vos on the front, just flicks that elbow, swings across the road and drops back down through the group. Here's Kasia Niewiadoma. She's just sitting there again, just sitting on the back through that 5 kilometre to go point as Trek Segafredo. So Longo Borghini looks like she's working hard for Dijkman again today. out of that group. When is Kasia Niewiadoma going to launch that move that we're expecting from her? We know that she's probably not going to want to take this one to a sprint. She'll want to try a last-minute attack. Demi Vollering is probably just content to take whatever place that she can in this one. The two favourites, you would say here, Joe, the two fastest finishers are Duignan and Vos.
Yeah, as you say that, you just saw Van Vleuten and Niewiadoma just having a little bit of a gap there at the back. You know, if you are going to attack this group, you need to come past them at speed. So you'd need to lay off, come past already way up to speed, because otherwise anyone can easily sort of jump on your wheel there. So it's interesting to see the two of them at the back now, watching the other four riders, watching the two girls from Trek Segafredo, watching Demi Vollering, watching Marianne Vos. And if we're going to see a move, I think it would need to be soon. I mean, in an ideal world, you want to counter someone else's attack, but I don't think we're going to see any attack from the others. I think, you know, Duignan and Vos are seeing themselves as the best sprinters. Longo Borghini is doing the work here for Duignan, and I think Demi Vollering probably hasn't quite got the legs at the moment to launch an attack. So I'm looking at Van Vleuten and Niewiadoma and thinking, what are they going to do with just 4 kilometres left to go?
That was, I don't know what you think, quite an interesting move there by Lizzie Duignan as Marianne Vos came back, latched herself onto the wheel. So within the breakaway group here, almost wanted to be on that wheel of Marianne Vos, maybe to just, you can see constantly now wanting that wheel of Marianne Vos. This is a big tell for the sprint finish.
It is. So Lizzie Duignan there with the teammate on the front currently, but she's just leaving a gap there. She's making Vos get herself into that gap. She's making sure she's on Vos's wheel. You know, she knows that the strongest contender against her in this sprint is going to be Marianne Vos. So she's thinking, I want to be on that wheel. I want to see exactly what's going on. I want to make Vos leave me out and then leave it late to go for that sprint win. So brilliant tactics here by the Trek Segafredo team.
Elisa Longo Borghini played the team card perfectly in Plouay to set things up for and keep working for Lizzie Duignan. She looks like she's going to lead this sprint out. Van Vleuten and Niewiadoma, they're going to need to try and jump this group before the finish. What either of those riders will be hoping, Joe, is that the likes of Duignan and Vos just pause momentarily, thinking about that sprint if they make that late move.
Yeah, exactly. So you need to be able to sort of keep an eye on everything, and they've sat themselves at the back there, Van Vleuten and Niewiadoma, so they can see exactly what's going on, so they can see if there is any of those sort of lulls, any of those sort of opportunities that they want to be able to take. But now we're inside 3 kilometres to go. There is not many opportunities left now. They need to make a move soon if they want to try and get away from these fast sprinters.
Elisa Longo Borghini now, the realisation that she's got the next 3K on the front potentially here. They're looking for her to try and lead this one out.
Yeah, Vos coming through for a turn there, and they're up to nearly a 2-minute gap on the chase group, so there's not really any need to sort of do work in that sense. Like just looking over her shoulder, thinking, you know, I don't really want to be doing any work here. She wants Vos's win, and Vos isn't happy about that.
So Lizzie Duignan giving us a show here of how to try and save your legs as much as you can. Manoeuvres Marianne Vos
on the front for teammate Lizzie Duignan, attacking and being dropped time after time. Inside the final 500 metres she went again, Marianne Vos jumping on her wheel. But she was forced to open her sprint too early, and a desperate drag race followed, with British rider Lizzie Duignan coming round to take her second UCI Women's World Tour victory of the...
The UCI Women's World Tour remained in France and headed southeast to Nice for the 4th race of the season, La Course by Le Tour de France, with the route leaving some riders unsure of what the day would bring.
Yeah, I think a lot of people say it will be a sprinter's race, but it's going to be hard. I saw the climb yesterday. It's 14 kilometers. It is not so steep, and there's time to come back, so it depends on how we race. But yeah, we do it twice, so I have a big feeling that it's going to be for the climbers. We're here also with a sprinter. She likes to sprint from a smaller group, so we will try to make it happen.
Well, we have a really strong team here, and I think it's interesting because it was kind of billed as a sprinter's race, but it's definitely not really a sprinter's course in my opinion. And I think that if it's raced full gas and it's raced aggressively, which is how I feel it will be raced, and how we at Équipe Poulka as a team like to race, then I think it's going to be a bit more interesting than that.
I don't know, it's pretty unpredictable with this climb, and then with the coast, you never know. Like in the classics, you never know what can happen. It's about the team to make the race.
Taking in 2 48-kilometre laps, both of which began with the days-long climb,
Get the app
there
that
was
turns
plenty of
indoor
nervousness in the
training into
peloton
a game.
as they formed up on the
Zwift,
Promenade des
you can ride
Anglais
anywhere,
before
day
rolling along the
or night.
beachfront and
Chase
heading
riders
straight
from
up the
all
Côte
over the
de
world.
Roumier.
Chase this guy.
First time up the climb,
Wait,
the peloton
is
rode
that
a
Garrett?
fast but steady
This
tempo,
is
which
interval
saw some
workouts,
drop out the
training
back.
plans, and
At the
massive
front, though,
online
the
group
pace
rides
increased on the
made
approach
fun.
to the Queen of the
Because
Mountains
fun
line,
works.
where Luxembourg champion
Fun is
Christine
results.
Margeras took the honours.
Fun is fast.
The descent was ridden hard and fast, with first Sunweb's Anna Henderson leading,
Get the
then
app that
Canyon
turns
SRAM's
indoor
Cassia
training
Niewiadoma
into a
taking the
game.
lead.
On
And by the
Zwift,
time they
you can
reached the
ride
bottom,
anywhere,
a group of
day
6
or
women
night.
had emerged
Chase
and worked
riders
hard
from
on
all
the
over
flat
the world.
roads, heading
Chase
back
this
to the
guy.
coast at Nice.
Wait, is that
This
Garrett?
group, though, were never
This
allowed
is
much
interval
more than 30
workouts,
seconds
training
lead, and the bunch
plans,
took
and
them back
massive
just
online
before
group
they crossed the
rides
line
made
at
fun.
the end of the first
Because
lap.
fun works.
As the bell